that?
I haven't owned a mouse in years. A laptop.
You have a mouse thingy. What is it called? Mouse pad?
Trackpad?
Trackpad? Yeah.
No, I don't. But my desk is smooth enough. It works.
Oh, nice. You fancy, huh?
Like I don't know. Everything was cheap. Like even like using this keyboard, like the space bar sticks down. It doesn't stick down like it's active, but just like the surface of it is just left down, so you can
Oh, wow.
just feel it. I don't know. This was all cheap through Amazon, but it's the job done. It's running nice. I could watch 4K video even though it's a 720p monitor.
Ooh, sweet.
So nothing's real. But hey, guys, we're back. It's in a weird sense of poetry. This is the first spot I was in when we started these podcasts. The exact spot.
What do you mean spot?
This angle.
Oh, has it been a different angle? I thought you just twist the lighting. It's a different angle.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Holy shit!
My TV's over there, but now I cleaned off my desk. I have a desk top now.
Wow! Yeah, this is New Year or new month, new Nathan. I don't know. When was our last stream?
It
was like early July.
It's been a couple weeks.
July. It has been two. I think it's been at least one. Just one.
It's been 2 weeks. I was
2 weeks.
It's been 2 weeks. Yeah. Where I was on the iPad for months.
Yeah, I don't know how we did that. Oh, was Fallout our last stream? Mission Impossible Fallout?
Yeah.
Wow.
Our last episode of T that we did was covering Indiana Jones.
Yes, that was the end of July. That was the end of June. Yeah. Poor Indy.
Yeah, we're closing in on 3 weeks.
What episode are we for? What episode is this?
103.
103. 3 episodes after the centennial. Great.
And we got 3 big movies to discuss, Evan.
Oh, yes, we do. I am hyped. That is an incredible shirt. Yeah.
It's really nice material. I'm shocked how good it is. I ordered it, and then they were like, delivered. And I was like, where? So I thought it got lost in the mail for a while, and I was like, fuck, I lost money on Etsy. I was like, damn, I'm going to bite the bullet. Glad I didn't order another one, because then randomly it was in my mailbox. I was like, oh, fuck. I got it.
Send me the link. I gotta buy that. It happened. Barbenheimer happened already. It already happened.
21, 23. I wore it on the 20th though. That's where I did my double feature.
Oh, nice.
Opening day, baby.
So I still like the shirt. I like both movies. They're okay. We'll talk about it on stream. They're okay. They're fine. No, I'm kidding. I love them.
I was so. It's so funny. I going on Letterboxd, see everybody's reviews. Almost everybody's, a couple outliers, but like everybody gave Oppenheimer, most of them 5 stars in a row. Everybody gave Barbie 4.5. Everybody.
Oh wow! All of our friends, or just
across the board? Yeah, all of our group chat peeps.
Yeah. Yeah, I figured that would be the case. I don't usually give ratings during movies, but I cite having just seen each movie walking out. I was talking to my brother for Barbie because my dad was like, "I'm not seeing a Barbie movie," and then I saw Oppenheimer with my dad and Jalen, and we all unanimously were like, "Holy fuck!" Like that was incredible. Like the whole theater clapped at the end. It was great. All 500 of us clapped in that theater, however many there were.
I am stunned how, like, where my location is in my theater, like viewership has gone, attendance hasn't been as like high as the past has been. It feels like it's been gradual, especially in the IMAX itself. It's never,
for sure,
it's a pretty rarely like full. Like Spider-Verse got a nice amount, and so did Mission, but Oppenheimer, every showing has been almost sold out.
It's nuts. Like if somebody told me Oppenheimer was going to open bigger than Mission Impossible, I was like, that's impossible. Wow. But it happened.
Impossible Mission 4.
Exactly. I can't wait to dive into that. But these movies are just incredible. Like I was gearing myself up for like epicness with Mission Impossible and just craziness for Barbie and just being utterly just devastated and destroyed with Oppenheimer. And I was writing the money for all of them. I loved all these movies for different reasons, of course. This has been one of the best runs of movies. 2023 in general has been fantastic, Nathan.
It's the new
holy shit.
I don't know what year, 2019, 2017.
Or 2022, right? I said this last year. Like, we were halfway through last year, and I was like, okay, so we've seen Everything Everywhere All at Once. We've seen Top Gun.
Morbius.
Morbius was fantastic. No,
What
I'm
is
blanking
that?
on 2022 right now. Nope, had already happened. So 2022 had a great like first half as well, and then fall 2022 broke me even more with like Pinocchio, and then Decision to Leave, Bones, and all that kind of stuff. I was just blown away by 2022. 2023 seems to be probably even better. Probably definitely even better because Spider-Verse came out this year.
Dune's on the horizon, maybe.
Dune's on the horizon, maybe. I don't know if Josh is listening to this. Probably not. He doesn't listen to our podcast. But
0 viewers right now.
0 viewers, perfect.
We're back, baby.
We're back, baby. Woo! Yeah. But like, I made a bet. Well, first of all, I made 2 bets. I lost a bet that Mission Impossible would make more than Barbie. I think we said domestically. Either way, domestically or overall, I think Mission Impossible is going to lose out to Barbie. So I was wrong. I lost that bet to my friend Edgar, the best. And then I bet my friend Josh also that Barbie will not be Best Picture nominee. And I made this bet last fall during the peak of 2022 award season. I was like, you know what? I don't think Barbie can sneak in there. And I was looking at the 2022 possibilities or 2023 possibilities. I'm like, I think I'm fine. I think color purple Dune's going to be more prioritized than Barbie. In general, I extremely underestimated the hype and how great Barbie would end up being. I mean, I know it's got a girl, but she never misses. Mm-hmm. But I just underestimated the overall global appeal of Barbie. I didn't think it would be as huge as it was, and I'm glad to admit I'm wrong, and I love the movie. Will it be nominated for Best Picture? I don't know. The Academy can do some bullshit things. You never know. I hope it is, but you never know. So I'm tentatively maybe not losing that bet. But either way, as I was saying, 2023 has just been incredible for movies. The podcast, I think it was our Across the Spider-Verse nearly 3-hour podcast. I was like, this is my favorite movie of the year. One of my favorite movies of all time. Across the Spider-Verse is perfection. Obviously, because I'm a huge Spider-Man person, I just love the film in general. I've seen it 4 times. Have you seen it 4 times too, by the way, buddy? Have you seen it 4 times? We matched
3.
that. 3. Oh, so I usurped you. There we go.
You've laughed me once. Never again.
I'm proud to see a movie more than Nathan's. Crazy.
Coming from the man who saw Spider-Man 10 times, Endgame 8 times.
That's ridiculous. I cannot imagine. Fast what?
Tross 6.
You saw Tross 6 times?
I did.
Wow. Okay, I thought you were like me and saw it 4.
On purpose? Yes.
I saw it 4 because I've told the story before. I had to. I bought 4 tickets and I was like, I'm not refunding this. I'll see it 4 times. Maybe my opinion will change. Maybe Kyle will come back. He never did come back.
Yet? Yeah. We have time. The right movie.
Yeah. Speaking of come back, well, I'll get into that with one of our reviews here. But anyways, what were we talking about? Oh yeah. So Cut to Spider-Verse, 5 out of 5, perfect. Having seen the triple entendre of Mission Impossible, Barbie, and Oppenheimer, I don't know what my favorite movie of the year is now. It's not Barbie, but it's not Mission Impossible either. I thought it was going to be Mission Impossible, but something happened.
The one thing happened.
One thing happened.
I don't know why.
I saw what happened. What's the Star Trek quote?
It has happened. I watched it happen. I saw it happen. Don't tell me it didn't happen.
That
so good, man.
He's so good.
Eggman's a really good actor, man. Even I was revisiting the really goofy Hulk movie he did. He's in it, man.
He's good, yeah. I've been watching short aside. I've been watching Star Trek: Strange New Worlds on Paramount Plus. I'm on episode 9.
I like this.
It's pretty good. It's pretty fun. I like it. It reminded me of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the sense that it's like crazy hijinks every episode. Sometimes there's a cool genre switch every episode. Last week was like a fairy tale episode. It was pretty cool. Either way, I'm enjoying that show. But yeah, so I haven't seen these 3 movies. I'm like, is Oppenheimer my favorite movie of the year? I mean, I can't wait to talk with you about it because I don't know. I gave spoiler alerts, whatever. This is a huge spoiler alert for all these movies, by the way. We're gonna go in deep, as deep as possible. You know,
I think we probably should start with Mission, just because.
Oh boy.
for relevancy and order of release. Just to give the audience something like it's been out for a minute. You've seen it by now. I hope we talk.
Exactly. Yeah. If you haven't watched the movie, play this in your watch later tab or whatever tab you want. Come back to us. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, baby. We're back.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
Mission accomplished that bell.
What?
Mission accomplished that bell.
Exactly. Mission. Boom. Accomplished.
I need to make it a subscribe notification.
You do.
How do people cut out people in moving video? I don't know the technology.
Oh, like you just want the voice or the what do you mean?
No, like
what are we cutting out?
Like they'll just like take a clip of somebody moving, doing an action. Usually they put it over green screen for other people who don't have that tech, but like they'll just like cut out an image of somebody moving or doing something. And like you'll have the full audio and everything, but now you can put them in any like scenario when you're editing a video.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's true.
So if I could make that an overlay of just like
subscribe. Just that action. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's hard. I don't know. Editing in general, I don't know how people on YouTube do it. It seems very difficult for me.
I know there's so many functions in my editor that I use, but I'm so like base level with like the ones I use all the time. I don't plan to dive deep. I don't have. Who has the time?
Time, fickle thing. Oh, did you get the Mission Impossible poster, by the way?
I got the poster, and then I came back and I got the pin.
Good, Anakin, good.
Which I completely forgot about. I was like walking in, just like, all right, there are no more posters, and then they're like, here you go. You want this? I'm like, yes, I want it.
They shoved it in your face.
The IMF pin? Fuck yeah. I look for it up here.
Where did I put my fucking pin at? I always lose this pin. I think it's in our room somewhere. Cool. Yeah, I'll vamp. But yeah, I was talking over, getting myself ready for this podcast, and I'm like, what is going to be my favorite movie of the year? Across the Spider-Verse is easily number 1, but having seen Barbie, Oppenheimer, and Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, I didn't know what my number 1 movie of the year was now, especially after Oppenheimer. That was the biggest one where I'm like, I don't know what my number 1 movie of the year is going to be now, but maybe it might be Oppenheimer, might still be Across the Spider-Verse. So Mission Impossible, beautiful. I have that as well. I'm looking at it. I don't have it hanging up, but it's laying there on my table. I really gotta hang up my posters. This whole back thing has been empty for a hot minute. Yeah, exactly. I'm so lazy. There we go. Beautiful Mission Impossible pin. Yeah. Let it zoom in there. Perfect. There we go.
Oh, focus.
Impossible Mission Force. I saw it. I see it. Right there. It's good.
Yeah. I was like, damn, the autofocus actually worked for me for once.
Yeah, it was good. You don't have to. Yeah, pan
flapping. You'll be back. This computer is handling well right now. Let's see how long it takes me to run to the ground. Good,
Anakin. But yeah, Mission.
You use that joke.
It's good. Another soundbite we need. Yeah, how much does the soundboard cost? Probably more expensive than the podcast. Maybe not the last part.
I should.
But anyways, yeah, I've had a blast. I saw Across the Spider-Verse 4 times.
Back.
But I saw Mission Impossible. Also, no, I saw it 3 times. Might go for a 4th because my mom hadn't seen it yet. I saw it when it came out for Mission Impossible week. I saw it on Monday. Saw it on Tuesday. Then I went back. I saw it on Thursday. So I saw it in IMAX, Cinemark XD, and then I saw it in Dolby. Pretty packed screenings all 3 times. Loved it. The Dolby one especially was really cool. Saw that on Thursday. But yeah, woo! We've been watching this whole Mission Impossible franchise all month long throughout June and July. Please like, subscribe. watch those videos with us if you haven't already, because
We're
they're
about
very
to
good. They're
we're
very
about to
fun.
dive headfirst into the Saw franchise because they moved up.
I know. Wow, we didn't even talk about that. Son of a bitch! How dare you? I was pissed. Because off air, Nathan and I have been talking about like, okay, we have a bit of a gap between Mission and Saul. So like, what should we do in the meantime? We're still going to do some of those things we talked about, but like, now we just got to rush on into Saul starting in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So maybe we might do something. We can do something. I was gonna say next week, but this is the week, right? So we could do something this week. I mean, this is the gap week that we were planning.
Okay.
So we could do something now. I'll play by ear. But either way, Saul's coming out. That's a lot. But anyways, we're back to Mission. This is all about Mission from here on out. So if you have not seen Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, the build-up is over. Spoilers are ahead. Sign out if you haven't. It's been 15 minutes, 45 seconds. From here on out till the end of the video. Spoilers for Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, July 12th, 2023. Wow, I had a blast with this movie. You know, as I was saying momentarily ago, I'm gibberish. As I said moments ago, I love the franchise. We did a whole commentaries about them. Mission Impossible Fallout Peak is probably still my favorite, having seen this movie. But man, oh look at that, perfect. Bingo, read spoiler section. Probably Fallout probably still my favorite, but this movie really threw me for a loop. I was super invested straight from the jump. It's so exciting. This is the third entry for McQuarrie and Cruise's team up, even though McQuarrie has been on board for this franchise for quite some time, working back in 2011 with Ghost Protocol. But man, Nathan Ilsa died. That happened. At least I think it happened. You know, you never know these days. Oh man, the journey for me and Ilsa, it's a lot. It hit hard. Because in 2015, having seen Rogue Nation, even the trailers for Rogue Nation, I was super excited for Ilsa. I had no idea who Rebecca Ferguson even was. But ever since Rogue Nation, which is one of my favorite. Rogue Nation isn't just one of my favorite movies of all time, or action movies. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I love Rogue Nation.
It is the movie.
It's the movie of all time. Rogue Nation and Fallout are just movies I put on repeat like every year. I love them so much. And a big part of that factor is Ilsa, and especially Ilsa and Ethan's dynamic within the Mission Impossible franchise. As a franchise, Ethan's character has grown so much so that he's come to have such a tight emotional connection to the group of people that he's been closest with. At least that includes Luther, Benji, and of course now Ilsa, as Rogue Nation came on board. And I think as McQuarrie came on board, he really cemented Ethan's arc as being a person who, as a kind of like streamlining Ethan's arc in the sense that like Mission Impossible 3 introduced Ethan as a more heartwarming, homely kind of character who is still a badass spy. But JJ expertly gave him a backdrop of emotion through Julia's character. And then Ghost Protocol was kind of an in-between between 3 and 5 in Rogue Nation, because it's not necessarily the most like cinematic that McQuarrie or character-driven film, but the ending does allude to like the essence of Julia, and this is a very fun entry. I love Ghost Protocol. But 5 brings it back all together with like reconciling Ethan's connection to his friend, as you see with the whole fantastic Benji and Ethan argument. When Benji's like, I'm not leaving you because you're my friend. And Ethan's like, okay. Which is great. And like small moments like that. And then Ilsa, the tug and war, or as Tom Cruise expertly described it in 2015, a romantic comedy. You know, I mean, if you listen to you gotta listen to the commentary as well, which is fantastic, because he repeats some of the things he said in the 2015 press line, in the sense that like the opera house is Ethan and Ilsa's first date. The introduction and the interrogation scene is kind of like the, you know, boy meets girl. And then again, boy meets girl in the interrogation, opera house's first date, And then throughout the movie, the like motorcycle chase, the airport scene, and then the fight together with Benji at the bomb is kind of the tug and pull of like what could be, what couldn't be.
What about the water?
Focus on the mission, and of course, the water scene is amazing, incredible. I just literally just watched somebody post a clip of Ethan and Ilsa in that sewer scene. I'm like, whoo wee. Anyways, so yeah, like I love how Macquarie has expertly handled Ethan's emotional connections and saying like this is the guy who is so much focused on the mission, but also focused on like not risking the lives of his teammates. And Ilsa became such a fantastic X factor for the franchise, and that was carried through expertly in Fallout, which I think is a perfect movie in the sense that like Ilsa is still this X factor, but it's just a sense of like allure that's carried over since Rogue Nation, where Rebecca / Ilsa says like you should have walked away with me in continuation of the airport scene. And then Ethan and Ilsa's scene in Rome, the fantastic scene that everybody knows I'm talking about, where they're just walking, and then it's just like, are you okay? I didn't know that was you. Are you okay? What's happening? Why are you back? I told you to get away. And she can because she's pulled in by the MI6. It's fantastic. But then, of course, Ethan's scarred by the past of Julia ever since the whole first scene in Fallout, where he's like scared for her death. And it's like, why is he thinking about that? Well, he's thinking about that because he's like, as he goes further and further in his life, he can't forget about the connections he made along the way and the sacrifices he made along the way. That's why Charlie, not Charlie, the big bad guy in Fallout and Rogue Nation, I forget his name right now.
His villain, Charlie.
I think his like actor's name, something Harris, isn't it?
Yeah, Sean Harris.
Sean Harris. There we go. Where did Charlie come from? I have no idea. Either way, Sean Harris like should have killed me, Ethan. It's like it brings it back to like the sacrifices and the difficult choices that Ethan has, and Alec Baldwin fantastically said like you had a choice in Berlin. Save one life over the cost of many. You saved
and now
one.
The world's at risk.
The world's at risk. Alec Baldwin was fantastic in that movie. So and then it's
funny watching that in the trailer because you don't know that they're on like a loud airfield, so yes to you.
Yeah. And it's like now there's probably ADR, of course, but like he's still yelling. It's very funny. Yeah. Without ADR, I'd probably be like, I can't hear a thing. Yeah. So that epitomizes Ethan's character. There's a lot of things that epitomize Ethan's character. Like Rogue Nation, where he talks about like he is the embodiment of like
the living manifestation
of destiny. Exactly. And then Fallout, Alec Baldwin goes on his monologue. And then I say all this to go back to the very main point about Ilsa's death, the whole concept of emotional connections and the sacrifices of it all. I love how this movie continues that. Like, I think this is a fantastic extenuation of the story arc that we saw starting in 3 and continuing with 5, 6, and now Dead Reckoning. As the title says, even though Dead Reckoning correlates to like the passage in the Arctic with the Antarctica, Antarctica, the passage of the water is called Dead Reckoning, blah, blah, blah. I think it's a double entendre because like it works as well for Ethan's whole reckoning with the dead, reckoning with the sacrifices he made along the way. Mm-hmm. But I just vehemently disagree with them possibly killing Ilsa. There is a put me in the clown car because I'm on and off the clown car because
you're back in your Ben Solo era is what you do
for 1000%. But it's as if Rise of Skywalker threw Ben down the cliff and then said, "See you next summer," right? It's like,
right?
Is he dead? Is he coming back? He seems pretty dead. And Ben came back for a second there, and then he died.
But this is not the end of the trilogy.
This is not the end of exactly right. Dead Reckoning Part 2 comes out next July, strike pending. So I doubt it comes out in July now at this point, but you never know. They were, I think, Chris or Tom McQuarrie. I mean, um, they said they were like 80% of the filming was like mostly done for part 8. Like, the plane sequences are definitely part 8, right? Like, there's been cast photos of like Parks and Recreation guy Nick Offerman.
Yeah.
And them, like, they filmed a lot of part 2 already, hence the big budget on part 7, because they pushed a lot of it in part 1. I wouldn't be surprised if part 2 is back to like that 178 number that Fallout had, by the way, for the budget. COVID will do that to you. But going back to it, I just think I'm rambling, sorry, but it's like I vehemently disagree. Going back to the Ilsa thing, where there's been tons of comments which have put me down to like the depressed, she's definitely dead line of thinking, where it's like Christopher McQuarrie is talking about, oh man, I wish I left it in my bookmarks. But the TLDR of it all is that, like, Ethan, quote from McQuarrie, at least.
I sell these from you. Your quote tweets, how I found these out.
Thank you. I wish I bookmarked my quote tweets, because I can't find it ever again. And there's new comments every week now. From not from Chris, but just from the Ilsa fandom. But that my For You tab is dominated by.
Yeah, I was like, I did not know there was like a Stan level in Mission Impossible.
Oh, big time. Funny enough, I keep going back and forth. Sorry about that. But like, back when Dead Reckoning was filming, the bridge scene came out in 2020, where you saw S.I. Morales fighting Ilsa, S.I. Morales fighting, hopefully I say his name right, S.I. Morales, whatever.
I think so.
Fighting Haley Atwell, and there was a bridge sequence. People were like, "Is Ilsa going to die?" And that started in 2020, and I'm like, "This is an action sequence." I paid it 0 mind.
Yeah,
because the fandom goes off in fandom ways, which is fine.
And they wouldn't film something like that in the open.
Exactly, right? And it's like it's theories, and people are like, "Oh, I was like, it's a Mission Impossible movie. They don't kill off main characters. This ain't Star Wars, or even Fast and Furious. They bring them right back. But like, this is Mission Impossible. They don't really kill off main characters. So I was like, oh, this seems like a cool action sequence. And then the trailer comes out 2 years later. And the Britine is in there, and she pulls out the sword. I'm like, oh wow, like Ilsa gets a moment to shine here.
It is funny. It is funny. I'm sitting in the theater and I'm like, I don't remember a lot of clips of Ilsa in the trailer.
No.
It's on the other side of the coin. It's funny because you watch the movie and the whole opening kicks you off with like, we killed Ilsa. Just kidding. But,
right. And that's like the biggest gut punch. There's so many gut punches with the movie where it's just like
and it's like because you're watching and you're just like, no you didn't. I don't believe you.
Yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, obviously, like my dad elbowed me. Granted, I've seen it twice now, but by that point when I saw it with my dad was like, he was like, I don't think Ilsa's dead. I was like, oh no, Dad, wait till he's watched the movie, or wait till we see it. And then he was like, and then of course Ilsa comes back. He's like, I knew it, she wouldn't die. But then we get the bridge scene. I'm like, tears still 3 times. And I'm just like, and my dad's like, yeah. My dad's like, what a fantastic scene. No, he didn't say that.
No.
Like, stop being a bitch. No.
Show your emotion, Dad.
Toxic masculinity. But
your dad rolling a tear at Maverick.
I don't know. Yeah. He loves that final scene in Maverick. But anyways, he said that was a fantastic fight sequence. I still think the scene itself is fairly fantastic. I wish Ilsa had more dialogue, and it hurts that she did have more dialogue in that fight sequence where she says like step away from whatever her name is, and there's some extra dialogue they cut out from Ilsa in that scene. Apparently there's like a page of dialogue for the Venice sequence too, which hurts my heart. I'm like, oh God, are you kidding me?
I was reading the quotes of the dialogue for the extension. I pulled the cord. Reading the extended dialogue for the fight scene, and I was like, this feels a little much.
Yeah,
it feels a little on the nose.
It did because it was like stay away from her or whatever, and then she says like I'll be sure to kick your ass. Something like I'm saying I'm saying it much more cheesier than Rebecca Ferguson's delivery.
I'm sure she could have delivered it very
right
well.
for sure.
I'm reading on the page and I'm just like, I don't know.
I don't think. Yeah, part of me was like, Ilsa, more dialogue, yes, please. And the other part of me is like rationally like, okay, I can see why it probably got taken out because the silence of it all. Builds the tension, of course. And I think that's what they're going for. And I think they said more of the dialogue with badass Ilsa would have made it seem like she was coming out on top, even though she wasn't going to come out on top. Mm-hmm. I think that was the impression. But I think I lost track. But I think going back all the way to Christopher McQuarrie's quotes, he was saying that like Mission Impossible was this franchise where Ethan is riddled with difficult choices and difficult relationships, and Ethan is a character built upon death and sacrifices. I'm paraphrasing. I wish I had that quote on me, but I vehemently disagreed with that. Where I believed I was like, Mission Impossible, Ethan as a character has never been one for riddled with death or sacrifices, at least main character wise. Because just off the top of my head, when people think about Mission Impossible, they don't think about like Ethan that's been through so much sacrifice. Like you think of Julia, but wait, she didn't die. Like right, like Christopher McQuarrie famously was known to have come into the script where Julia was 1,000% dead, but changed the Ghost Protocol script at the end to be like, hey, no, there's a chance that she's still alive. That's why let's give Ethan that scene at the end where he's with he's with Jimmy Renner's character, Brant, and he like looks over and she didn't die. He's like, because he's like, why waste a character in Julia? And that's why he brought her back for Fallout. So Chris McQuarrie saved Julia from being killed because that was like the main thing that was going to happen. And of course, Tom signed off on it as well, as he always does.
I feel like
sorry.
I feel like Christopher McQuarrie very recently rewatched the first Mission Impossible. Maybe wanted to get some fresh ideas, of going back, and it's very evident in the filmmaking and the craft that a lot is harking back, like both in just the way it's shot, the close-up magic, stuff like that, and it feels like he's like, the idea of Ethan losing his team. So I feel like that's where he's pulling from, but like that was before any status quo was set for the series.
Nathan, I couldn't agree more. The status quo for the franchise is, I mean, put in blank, there is no status quo for the franchise except that like Ethan cares about the mission. I can't vibe with it, but I can kind of get on board with McQuarrie and Tom saying, even Rebecca's recently saying like, I don't see Ethan and Ilsa romantically, whatever. I do. I think the movie really points towards that. You can't show them holding hands on the Venice boat or hugging on the Venice rooftop. I'm just like, it's just romantic out the ass.
The setting you chose
is right. It's Rome, one of those romantic cities on earth. Or Venice, whatever. So it's just like that's in the movie itself, not even subtextually, just textually, because they want us to be connected to Ilsa, so that when the death happens, we're more emotionally hurt by it. I think that's what they're going for.
So when there's death, we are reckoning.
We have to reckon with it, exactly. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to pull up the tweet if I can find it, because I really want to get the quote. It's probably not going to happen tonight. But either way, it was just weird for me that he says like this is a franchise where Ethan is riddled with all this death and sacrifice when that has not been the case, because he used that argument to say like, so Ilsa as a death was another case of like this movie Dead reckoning with the past, with Ethan's past, and reckoning with like the theme of the franchise of death and like how Ethan handles it. And I think it's a big flaw in the movie. And an otherwise perfect movie. I love this movie so much. There's just so much I love about this movie. Besides this whole argument and scene. And the more they justified it, the more I'm like, you're really making me go down. But exactly right, you're digging the hole, and I'm trying to defend you, Macquarie. Anyways, so it was just so weird for me. I'm like, this isn't part of Ethan's character that was sacrificed a lot. The only big one I can see is Elizabeth Moss.
Carrie Russell.
Carrie Russell from the Americans. Her name in Americans is Elizabeth. That's why. So Carrie Russell tragically died at the beginning of Mission Impossible 3. But that's a serviceable death. Even though, it's like my girlfriend died, I'm sad. But it's like it works in this movie, in Mission Impossible 3, because we don't know her. But we get to know her in a small amount of time. So it works within the context of the movie, right? Like, hey, short. I always say this in fiction. Like, the shorter we get to know this character, the more painful it is when their death hits. I mean, the more not more painful, the more effective the death is, boy or girl at least.
It works even better when you have watched the recent movies and then you go back because you know how hard Ethan fights for his friends.
Oh, 100%. Great point. So yeah, when Carrie Russell perishes, you're not like, oh, my heart, God dang, no, because you don't know the character. But it's an effective point for the movie because it exemplifies Ethan, as you just said. He tries so hard, so it makes us sympathize with Ethan's character more, which is the main point of Mission Impossible 3, is sympathize more with the whole Julia angle as well. So I don't. That's like the only major death. And then of course Mission Impossible 1, but like that's the first 10 minutes of the movie, right? Like we're not supposed to really care. We're supposed to just like put ourselves in Ethan's shoes. They're all dead. And then 2/4 of them come back anyways with the girl and the main boss, John Voight. They come back anyway, so it kind of like he only really lost like 2 people in that sequence.
Who lost Nest events?
Yeah, tragic. And then of course Mission Impossible 2, nobody died. Mission Impossible 3, Carrie Russell dies. Mission Impossible 4, nobody died. Mission Impossible 5, nobody died. Mission Impossible 6, nobody dies. 7, Ilsa dies? Really? You're choosing Ilsa of all characters that you created?
I don't want anyone to die, Evan.
Nobody needs to die in this franchise. No. This is a comfort franchise. And if you want to turn this into a more emotionally driven, I mean, it is, but if you want to turn it into a more like with the reckon with what has ruined us in the past, that's fine. Ilsa is the wrong character to do it, fam. Like I think even this movie alone, I love Benji. I love Luther.
Don't you touch my son?
I don't want to kill any of them. But I would argue those are 2 more viable and effective killing options than Ilsa. At least for me. And I'm not being biased because I love Ilsa more than Benji or Luther. I love all these characters. So bias aside, I just Euro bias, which is kind of hard because I have bias. I love Ilsa. But it's like minimum bias aside, I think Benji and Luther are more effective deaths, partially because they're 2 characters doing very similar things. Like, they're 2 text-driven characters. One helps with like masking locations. The other one helps with giving him locations, right? So it's like Luther is sitting around not doing much in this movie, which is fine. I love Luther, and he has fantastic team in this movie. Key Fingers, whatever it was. It's a very effective comedy, the both of them, the duo. And Benji has a lot of heart in this movie too. I think really works. So I love both these characters, but I think killing off Luther would be a more devastating death and more effective to the theme that Macquarie is imposing than Ilsa.
It would really pull thematically with the longevity since he's been around since the first one.
Exactly. If we're closing out the franchise, which I think we are with part 2 next year, if we're closing out the franchise, then just I think Luther's a more effective death than Ilsa, who came along. And as I always say with fiction, it's like this character isn't out for the character. For example, in Dark Knight Rises, I'm not a huge fan of Dark Knight Rises, but I leave here a Nolan movie. But Nolan inputs Selena in there as an out for Bane or out for Bale as Batman, Bruce. The end of the movie with them 2 in whatever city it is. That's the out for the character. Like in Star Wars, Ben could have been the out for Rey, or vice versa. Like I can't think of something else. I had something in mind before the podcast and I let it go. But like in Avatar: The Last Airbender, like May was the out for Zuko, Katara. Like there's emotional connections that you could build on in the future of the franchise, regardless if you're going to continue it or not, right? Like
I'm sorry. I'm laughing because I was thinking about if the MCU wasn't so MCU, Tony and Pepper would have had an out by Iron Man 3 for sure. That it's built around that
easily.
Yeah.
That is a perfect example. Like that is their out. But you know,
he blows up the suits. The next movie, they're like, "Uh-oh."
Pepper is his out, right? Pepper helps him go through this old depression arc, which it's beautiful. We love Iron Man 3 in this chat.
We love Shane Black sometimes.
We love Shane Black sometimes
when he's not making the Predator.
Has he been canceled? Oh no, Predator. I was like, has he been canceled or something?
No.
The Predator is also a thing. Yeah,
I need to watch Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Me too. Haven't watched it. Coming there, but yeah. So I'm like, they're just more viable options. I don't think it's an adequate theme. Where Mission Impossible, we talked about this Fallout, Rogue Nation, other movies. There's plenty of other things that the franchise expertly dives into in terms of like Ethan, just the struggle. He doesn't have to lose anybody, but the struggle that he might is still very effective. He doesn't lose anybody in Fallout, but the themes that he's grappling with in Fallout are awesome. People can grab onto that kind of stuff.
Fear of consequences, just as effective.
The fear of consequence, the fear of risks, the fear of like he knows he's doing a lot of this by luck, but it's that suspense, that fear that he might run out of luck that keeps him going, or that riddles him with fear. So I think there's plenty of other themes outside of the theme of sacrifices.
Not to like placate for like constant fake out deaths, but like in Mission Impossible 3, how the whole cliffhanger opening is built around it. Where they fake out killing Julia. Like seeing that movie, like, I forgot it was the twist there. But you rewatch it again and again, like it doesn't become stale because you know it's not Julia. It's how desperate Ethan is in the panic that he has no control, that you're so invested with the performance.
Bingo. You're invested because of Ethan's commitment and his like what could happen, what shouldn't happen. And the thing for me is like in Dead Reckoning, Henry Cesarni playing Kittredge. Fantastic, by the way. Every single one of his dialogues.
I was trying to
ASMR. He's amazing. We
were blanking way back when we were discussed. I think we discussed Scream 6 a little bit. He plays Sam's therapist. He plays Sam's therapist that gets freaked out. I was like, I know this fucking guy. What was he in? He's Kittredge.
He's
also in Ready or Not.
Oh, is he Ready or Not? Is he one of the fathers?
Yeah.
Or is he one of the family members or family members? Oh wow, I gotta rewatch Ready or Not. I have the Blu-ray, I think. I'll look for it. I like that movie. But yeah, when Kittredge himself is saying like, this mission is gonna cost you dearly, and in the back of the screen, it was just like right there because like he points at the bounty on the case, and he's like, "This the bounty," and at the end of the conversation, he's like, "This mission will cost you dearly." And every time I rewatch it, I'm like, her face is right there. It's telling the audience this is what's gonna cost him dearly.
That seems so funny to watch because Ethan in disguise is like sneaking around in the background. I'm like, this man has no subtlety whatsoever.
It's incredible.
He's the most sus-looking man I've ever seen. And then when I realize it's Ethan, I'm like, Ethan, do better.
Hey, if it worked out, it did his job.
He's glaring at everybody.
Everybody. I mean, did everybody know who the guy is? Did they not care?
One dude took notice of him. And he's like gives him a nod, like, "You're fucking late, dude."
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess because he's such a high profile figure, they're like, oh, it's just homeboy. He just could be face, but whatever. He's one of us, not knowing that he was Ethan. But yeah, when Kittredge, an antagonist in the movie, is saying this mission will cost you dearly, you assume he'll be fine, right? Like if the antagonist is telling you something, usually the theme of the mission movie is that like, oh, he's gonna go against that ideology. Mm-hmm. Happens in literally every Mission Impossible movie. I'm gonna kill the one you love. You're gonna pay for what you've done, Ethan. And Ethan succeeds in the end because he's Ethan. He is a manifestation of chaos and destiny. BS that I love. So for it to actually pull through in this movie, and the entity actually does kill Ilsa, presumably. There is an out, kind of. I haven't talked to anybody about this, really, besides like Ilsa fans on Twitter, which, you know, it's an echo chamber, to be fair.
We never see her body again.
We never see her body again. And there's a great quote, because, you know, back to the Evan clown car moment. You know, they said when Haley Atwell's character Grace says like, I'm the reason Ilsa died, and Luther's like, you're the reason. She's the reason you're alive. He says no.
What a great
line. Man, see, I love Luther. His death would be fantastic because he gives him great lines. He's the emotional heart of the franchise.
It would hit. Benji would just break me.
Benji would break me. Benji would be. I'd be like, fuck. Like that would tears in the rain.
That I would need therapy for, man. I'd be crying so hard.
It also broke me too. When I first saw this, it reminded me of Ben Solo, where I was more so pissed in the theater than sad, and then the subsequent times I was just depressed.
What was that? End of Act 2? You had to deal with that,
right? I had to jump into the train sequence. I was like, "This is what people were hyped for." Let me get my Let's try and breathe.
Just breathe to the music.
The movie is so good that like everything else in the movie is peak Mission Impossible. It's what makes this review so hard for me. I love this movie, minus one scene, just one scene. Like literally everything else. We'll get into it. You know, it's been 40 minutes now. But
I gotta get up early.
Sorry. So I mean, the rest of it's gonna be very quick. But just like I really disagree with it. But like, there's room for setup that Ilsa could live, even though like the knife pretty much stabbed her in the heart. It's the editing of the fight, or the editing of the whole opera scene, which I thought was great. Not opera, but you know, the Vanessa Kirby's, Ilana's club scene. It's like when Isai Morales says, like, when Gabriel says 2 people are going to die tonight, 2 girls, by the way, Ethan, weird, but it's gonna be Grace or your other girl here. I'm like, when I have it, I'm like, I literally roll my eyes. I'm like, McQuarrie, why are you doing this to me? Like, I mean, it's a great villain trope. There's a classic scene in Naruto where my favorite character is at the bottom of this valley, and this antagonist is like, pick up the knife, kill your friend. And I'm like, oh man, no, don't do that. Then his friend picks up the knife and stabs himself in honor of it. But I was like, when villains give a hero that choice, it's effective. Sorry. I thought it was going to cook in a more heroic way, but it didn't. But like, Ilsa, you got to admit, Nathan, Ilsa gives, and I've seen this movie 3 times now. Ilsa and Ethan are giving each other looks like they're prepared for something. Like, if Ilsa turns out dead, which is fine, it's not fine, I'm lying, but like, which is okay, but like, then what was the point? What was the impact that I'm supposed to glean from this mission? Let's go into this clubhouse scene. We need to get the other key from Ilana. We know Grace is supposed to deliver her half of the key, which she has obtained. Ever since he ditched Ethan, she's attained the key. She's going to give the other half to Ilana, the power broker, in a sense. A more better power broker. But and it's like, okay, and then we're going to attain both keys. We're going to defeat, and then we're going to run, basically. Of course, Ethan didn't know about the exchange at the train the next day. That was unaware. But I think Ethan's plan that I'm kind of on board with is like, we need to find Grace, obtain the other half of the key, and then before we get both halves of the key, we just got to know what the key is used for, because they still don't know about the submarine, and like the heart of the entity, which is in the submarine. So like, okay, that's fair, but like, they came in there and get utterly demolished intellectually by Gabriel, by the entity. But then Ilsa's like, when Gabriel says like 2 people are gonna die, Ilsa's like, there's a wry smile, like I bet you are kind of thing, right?
There
Like
was, yeah, it was a weird
there
cut
is
where-
there is a look, right?
there's a weird cut, like she. There's a close of her smirking, and then the wide is like she's pissed. And I didn't know if that was just like editing, but I was like,
I can't
that
tell
was
either.
intentional to focus on her face.
Because people have talked about it, like this is like one of the most weirdly edited scenes in and Bakari is known for like great editing, great direction, right? Like
Yeah,
it's so weird to me.
if I were to pitch a theory,
Okay.
There's because well, the whole thread of the movie is the AI entity.
Yes.
Now Luther goes on a big spiel before heading into the train about how the entity sees all these different outcomes. Basically, they know like every move that they're going to play out. It's like it's the ultimate game of chess.
Yes.
So if things are going to go a certain way, Luther's like, you have to go this path, otherwise we're screwed. Ethan almost fucking fucks it up on the train, but I think if you wanted to be like the ultimate, like, oh fuck yeah, in part 2, is that if you had Ilsa fake her death,
you go along with Gabriel / entity's plan of one of them has to die.
Yeah, but yeah, and if you fake it, then you have a wild card operating outside of the entity trying to assess everything, because in everything it's trying to calculate, Ilsa's not on the board. So now you have that ace up your sleeve.
Which is fantastic. I don't play chess worth the damn. I was gonna say dime, but I twisted halfway through. Worth the damn. So it's like, yes, that'd be perfect. That's fantastic. The thing is, and I would love that and let me just tell you guys, if It's Possible Part 2, Dead Reckoning Part 2 comes out next year, and this comes back alive, that could be the best movie ever, and it's gonna make this movie the best movie ever. Like it'll retroactively help with this movie. The past 40 minutes won't matter. But yeah, Nathan, I think that'd be fantastic. But like, why do they fake us out with Ilsa's death in the first half of the movie, then they fake us out again? Like, I kind of wish they didn't fake us out in the first half, because then it would be more likely that you're right. I think there's a very good chance that you are right, and I hope so. It's part of the clown car copium. I hope she comes back, and not just like in a flashback kind of way in part 2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how that would work.
It would I think it would work very well, especially if
that would be so effective, dude.
Especially not only to like convince Gabriel that she died, but the whole team that she died. And if Ethan's the only one to know, and he has to like maybe in a very unhealthy sense think about all the people that he has lost to like fuel his emotion in the states he's in. So anybody who's trying to read him is like, he's broken about Ilsa. No, he's not. He's broken about other people.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Like, what's so fascinating is that, like when he's leaning down after his death in the blue and in the Venice, like he's like upset over the, like, you're right. Like it could just be him emotionally like decompressing with like what the fake out or like the risk that they played. Like there's a lot of nuance in that. I'm very curious to see like a spoiler podcast, see what really went down there. But yeah, also the big thing is like there's a period of time when Ethan's like, the camera zooms around and Ethan's like, everything in this room is like, we are the only ones who are like knowledgeable about the entity and like what we can say or what we can do, whatever. So prior to like Ethan and Ilsa getting on that boat, going to the meeting at night, it's like there's a period of time where they easily could have like you said, come up with that plan and concocted a number of different possibilities, because they come into that whole party scene so confident, and then they just lose in every corner. Like Ilana betrays them, Gabriel kills Ilsa, entity tricks Ethan with the comms, like they get killed, they get taken over really one by one. That was fantastic. Okay, so Ilsa thing is over. I'm pissed about it. I hope it's wrong. I think it's a dumb decision. Everything else about this movie, fantastic. I think this is Lauren Bauer's best score, arguably. Even though I love Fallout score. Fallout has some great melancholic score. But the percussion, the effective use of percussions in a number of different tracks here was super effective.
I think this is my favorite lead into the lighting the fuse. on the score because it kicks off
Oh, good call. Good call.
because it beats up with the drums like like
Hmm.
hyping it up. It's really good. It inspired me to write a Time Blazer scene.
um, yeah. It's so good. Lauren Balfe, thank you so much. It's excellent, especially Ilsa's death scene sucks, but like the whole bridge track, I forget what it's called. Like it shouldn't. I knew it'd be you. I'm glad it was you. Something like that. Um,
I was hoping it'd be you.
I was hoping it would be you. Thank you. That track goes so fucking hard. It's fantastic. Um, between Cross Spider Verse, Mission Impossible, and Oppenheimer, like those are my three favorite scores of the year so far. It's just amazing stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean Lauren Balfe scores that in, but yeah, also across the board, the supporting cast is phenomenal. I think Rebecca Ferguson was great. Haley Atwell is a revelation. She's amazing. I've always been a huge fan, of course, from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of Carter, Captain America 1. Like across the board, Haley Atwell has always been just incredible in everything she's in. This is one of the best times where she gets to be a star, and her chemistry with Ethan is electric. The whole airport scene would be so boring if it wasn't for her and Ethan's just like interesting dynamic where it's just like cat and mouse. Who the f is she? Like, what is going on?
A cool like flip on the head that like dealing with so many spies, and it's just like, oh no, she's just a really good criminal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's just a very good criminal. She's very singular. She has nobody else to work for. She's very independent, and it reminded me of Ethan, right? Like Ethan had like nobody before going into the Mission Impossible Force. Maybe he did. The one girl who gets killed by Gabriel at the beginning of the movie. Apparently, there was somebody.
Who is she?
She gets weird. It's so weird how she gets like a main billing in the credits in the beginning of the movie. Like
she must have a bigger part in part 2, right?
Must have a bigger part in part 2, or severely edited out. Mainly, maybe it's so weird. Like whatever. Either way, Haley Atwell was just amazing. I love the whole airport sequence. The Rome chase sequence is incredible. One of the best chase sequences ever.
The bomb defusal scene is very, very compelling. It's my favorite sequence. I love riddles. I
love riddles. It's so genius because who doesn't love riddles? Like it really gets the whole audience invested. Because it's incredible.
I remember sitting there, it's like, what's always coming but never arrives, and I'm sitting there like, tomorrow.
Oh, you really?
Yeah,
nice. That's awesome.
I'm good at this.
I was so invested. I was like, I have no idea. And then Grace like tomorrow. I'm like, that makes sense. I was so added, but I did get the whole one because we just watched holes.
Yeah, and they're like,
it's easy.
But then they curveball you with like, AI data analysis. So they're like, what do you care about most? And Benji's like, my friends, damn it. Like, I love you.
That was so good.
Hey, don't kill him.
See, having that scene then killing off Benji would have been hard.
I would enter a third stage of depression.
We wouldn't be here right now.
I'm shutting down the channel. I can't do it. I can't go on.
Honor of Benji for closing shop. But yeah, that scene was great. And, it parallels like we just talked about the Rogue Nation scene where he's talking about his friends. Mm-hmm. I love that scene with Benji with Luther. That reminded me, of course, in the airport sequence, we get pretty much the biggest introduction for Shea Wiggum's character, who's tracking down Ethan throughout the movie. And I thought they would be annoying, but they are amazing together. Shea Wiggum's, I forget the other guy. I forget the black guy's name right now. But he's also very good in this movie. And just their two doofus cop dynamic with the hint of gruff. Yeah, 100%. Right? He's not in Fast and Furious and Mission Impossible, whatever he's in. He plays like government hard ass with some sense of morality as well. Sometimes.
He's kind of loopy in Kong Skull Island. He's always just like a man of military.
Oh yeah, like, I got these grenades, and then he gets poor guy.
Yeah, what the fuck?
What was that? That was weird. It was comedy. But
we gotta stop like doing self-sacrifice and then making them worthless.
We do. Yeah, I hate sacrifices. It's like if I ever write something, God bless that, whatever. But there would never be any sacrifice. I hate that word, sacrifices. Unless they come back, then it works.
He ain't coming back.
Yeah, he ain't. Yeah, in Kong. Yeah, splat.
But then also they did a similar thing with Sam Jackson that worked way better.
Exactly. Yeah, he got what he deserved there. Comeuppance, good. But yeah, Shea Wiggum is just fantastic. The whole when he's like feeling up on the dudes with like the mask, like yeah, it's so good.
He did it with a fucking Kittredge too on the train.
Oh yeah, the Kittredge too. Like, sir, is that you? Like, get off me. Palm Clementieff is awesome in everything she's in, but she is awesome as Paris in this movie. A chaotic assassin with some great fashion. It just the whole chase sequence in Rome does not work unless you get like the couple of shots of just like manic Paris just being like crushing cars, just like gleefully running through buildings and running over cars, chasing after Ethan and Grace. It's amazing. It really works. She's one of the best antagonists we've seen.
The driving in Venice.
Wow,
dude. It's
awesome.
With the added dynamic of them being handcuffed, and I think they're for real doing all the stunts that way.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a lot of behind the scenes early on, but then early this year I was like, I need to go in blind, so I didn't see any behind the scenes leading up to this movie. But yeah, I saw as little as I saw that they were doing the whole handcuff thing. Like that was them, of course. I mean, it's it's Tom Cruise, but like Grace with the driving, Haley Atwell with the driving. That was just like, oh my gosh, no flipping. And that's one of the best comedic moments ever.
It's great. It's so great. Not only, where Ethan's trying to get them out of it, but also Grace not knowing what the hell to do, and Ethan trying to coach her. So it's like, great. Oh, we're on fire. No, that's the tires. You're please let go of the brake.
But she
keep going straight, or we'll go left. Sure.
Or we'll go left. Okay, we're going left. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, she was just a bad driver in general. Did she live in New York and just like take the taxi everywhere? Because
maybe.
Holy shit, her driving was terrible. Like she gets the cop car, immediately hits a car. I'm like, okay, great.
There's a point toward the end where she gives up. They're driving. She's like, no.
Yeah, this is going to be on you. He's like, okay. Fuck it. Fine. Yeah.
All right, gas brake, go.
Yeah. Yeah, just the whole like.
And they tumble down the stairs and land opposite seats.
It's one of the best comedic moments of the year. It's hilarious. How this is the same sequence from Fast 10 in the same year is beyond me, bro. That's
and what's so funny, and I think what makes that scene work to not go like too goof, like what the fuck is like in mid roll you see them shift enough that you buy that they swap.
Yeah, you can see it. Yeah, on replay, yeah, you can really kind of see it mid roll. Like, oh, okay, because first time I watched that, I was like, what the hell? What is magic? Like, what just happened there? But yeah, on replay, it's like, okay, yeah, they definitely flop. You can see them flopping faces.
Small detail that I liked in the very opening of the film, which is great sequence.
Yeah, great. I love me some like Hunt for Red October, submarine warfare stuff. It's good.
I love that they're like talking about like the development of like the learning systems they're implementing, and you have the subtitles going, and then they transition into speaking English to mimic your adaptation to the program, and then the subtitles cut off, and it's as if it's just flawless. It's like, oh fuck, we're in. It's a cool little thing.
Oh, I didn't even take it that way. Okay, as in like they're tracking. They're talking about the entity, and the entity is like tracking them. So it's like we're understanding them. Is that what you're saying?
I think they're talking about their own system. Well, then
their own system.
Rogue, so yes. But they're just like talking in their language while you're watching subtitles, and then they start speaking English out of nowhere. Like it transitions, and you're still reading subtitles, and the subtitles break off, and you realize you're matching.
So, in the beginning of the movie, the whole submarine in Dead Reckoning, is the heart of the entity in that submarine? Is that why they have the two keys? They lock it, or because at the end of the movie, like Carrie Elwes, head of CIA, he's talking about like that's why like we had the entity take out like the Russians and whatever, or that it went rogue, it took out like the Russians,
Yeah.
so it meant to, of course, it meant to crush like the Russians or whatever, that just in order to hide itself, or hide,
Um,
like, the
maybe
core.
because at that point, like only like one person knows its true location, or I guess Gabriel does.
That's Gabriel, yeah.
So,
Or at least,
yeah, because the entity activates on the ship there.
yes.
So I guess it's the heart of the entity, and we need to destroy it.
It was pretty confusing, but I think I got it by the end. But yeah, I love that beginning. It really sets us up very well. Very tense, very funny too. It's like, oh, brace for impact and nothing. Okay, this is weird. Yeah, I love the beginning, and then yeah, just like the whole build up, very comedic. One of the most meta scenes. I don't like when things get a bit too meta, but Mission Impossible toes the line very well.
Mhm.
In the scene where they're talking with the heads of the CIA and the government, they're like, "Impossible mission force. You guys just leave word."
Leave word.
Delivery is so good.
I'm excited to watch him in Saw.
Yeah, me too. Oh, is he? Which one Saw is he in?
He's in the first one.
He's in the first. Carrie
Very
Elwes?
first. Him and Lee Winnell.
Oh, that's Carrie Elwes.
Yeah, in the first Saw. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, the one. The main teenage boy, right? Who's chained up with Lee Winnell.
Yeah, they're both full grown men.
Yeah. I mean, he looks like a teenager. Maybe I haven't seen the movie in a minute. Early 20s, right? Yeah.
He's a doctor.
You're right. Yeah, he is a doctor. But Lee Winnell's a doctor, right?
No, the other guy.
The other guy's a doctor? The asshole?
Yeah, Dr. Gordon.
Okay. Yeah, you know more than me. Yeah, okay. Wow, it's been a minute. When did that movie come out?
2003?
20 years. Okay, I can believe it. Wow. But yeah, the whole scene is just like impossible mission force. Just one guy, and you guys just leave. Or like, there's more than one guy, right? Like the impossible mission force is not just Ethan, Benji, and Luther.
If he chooses to accept, it's like guys. There's a whole where's Lawrence Fishburne?
There's a division, right? Like,
Did it shut down? What happened?
Beginning of this movie, we see the guy delivering DoorDash to Ethan. Like, there's other people in the IMF. Like,
I think in one of the rooms, in the background, I saw there's a picture of Angela Bassett on the wall. In one of the scenes.
Yes. I think it's the scene that we're talking about. Yeah.
The CIA. That's where she was. So that, yeah.
She's the head of the CIA. So yeah. Maybe it's just like, yeah, whatever.
Where'd Alec go? He didn't die.
Where'd who go?
Alec Baldwin's character.
Yeah, he didn't. He did die.
He died?
In Fallout, remember he got stabbed by Henry Cavill in the shootout under the sea.
Oh yeah, no, that drove Ethan to start running, right?
Yeah. He stabs.
That's
Henry
right.
Paul. He leans back. Yeah.
Where's Jeremy Renner then?
That's a bigger question. Where's Jeremy Renner at? Because he has some pretty high authority in Rogue Nation, and
I want them to grab every side team member that didn't go with the rest of them, and just have one big IMF.
Right, and then bring Yosef back. That'd be amazing. Where's the homegirl from MI4? What's her name? Paula Patton.
Yeah.
Bring her back, please. She was amazing.
Stop!
Why?
Laughing. We know what we're doing. They knew what they were doing.
They catch us on Maine? No.
I'm on to you, Brad Bird. Elastic Girl, now this.
Brad has, yeah. And anyways, we're back.
You are.
You know who you are. We know who we are too. Anyways, we're on Kens. Anyways,
yeah. Briefly, the train sequence, great.
Peak. Like, we've heard so much buzz for the train sequence because I was like, can it really live up to all this? And the last third of the movie is just amazing. By the way, this movie runtime flies by. There's never, and that's because of the great score. There's never a dull moment in the movie. It's like it's back to back, just straight heat. And yeah, the whole train sequence is just so well done.
I thought I was
going to so much editing. Sorry,
that's true. I thought I was going to be more like blown back by it, as if I was going to see like something I hadn't seen before. But like, you know, they're doing like they're climbing up the train, which is a great sequence. But I'm also sitting there like I played on train.
Amazing. I've done that. I played on train.
I played it. But it's still great, especially when you're trying to save somebody who's not used to this.
And it's so continuous too, right? Like it's one train car, then the other drives like the falling debris. Then they get out of that, and then like they jump from one side to the next. And
they get to the kitchen car, and the oil catches on fire.
It's like it's insane. And then they finally get to the last one. They almost fall. I'm just like, oh my gosh! And then Paris comes and rescues him, which is great. I mean, I love that turn, by the way. It was very surprising to me when I first saw it. When she's talking with Gabriel and Carrie Ellis' character, like he turned out to be a very sus, you know, American politician, and similar but not similar to Kittredge, where he's just like, hey, we can take control of the entity and we can use it to take out all my other political rivals, and like some of these other Americans got to go. I think he was insinuating that he might have to kill a person like a Kittredge, right? In that scene when he's talking to Gabriel, it's like there are certain people on this government who wouldn't be on board with that. Well, because I know Kittredge just said point blank at the beginning of the movie that he wants to use the entity. He says, like, just like every other country, this is a different game, Ethan. I want to use the entity. So we know Kittredge already wants to use the entity. But I think Carriella's character, the main boss, he wanted to use it, but also it just felt more nefarious the more he was talking with Gabriel. He was like, I'm going to kill other Americans in my bid for power kind of thing. That Kittredge wasn't really concerned about. Is that how you took it as well?
Yeah, probably a bit more like an idolization type route.
Exactly. And as soon as he said, like, I know the location and you can't kill me, but Gabriel was like, he doesn't care that you have information. He just cares that, like, he cares that you have it, I mean, but it's just like, because you have it, you're
going to betray it.
Yeah.
And then the same turns on Palm's character.
Yeah, so I assume my dad asked, like, how do you know that? I assume the entity told him, like, during that train ride, like, he gets, like, the mask. He gets out of that mask.
Yeah, he has, like, this fucking, like, breathing mask that has the entity projection on the surface.
Quick side, it's funny. When I saw it on Thursday, that last Thursday, one of the people was like, yeah, I think Gabriel could be a robot. Because when he came out of the coffin, it was like, what was that mask thing? I'm like, out of all the missing
we're not there yet.
Yeah. Out of all the theories I've been hearing about this movie and else and everything, Gabriel being a robot was not one of them. You're right. The mask thing is very goofy, but funny as hell. So I assume that he just gets information via the entity, via any kind of technology. And sometime between Venice and the train sequence, he just got a tip from the entity that, like, hey, Ethan just spared Paris, so watch out for her. She might betray you. Or I think Eddie just said she will betray you. So
that was a great fight too. That claustrophobic hallway in that alleyway.
It's so freaking good. It's so good. Just like it's
so
pretty brutal too. Ethan like slamming her and the other guy's head against the wall numerous times, and Ethan's getting kicked and beat up. It's amazing.
It's a great scene to like really project like frustration because like every time Ethan's almost out, and he keeps getting pulled back.
He keeps getting pulled back, and then there's Tom's legs around Ethan's neck, and we get that stomach shot. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Christopher McQuarrie, you know what we want. It's great. I think Palm was fantastic in that scene,
and that like bang on the almost a one shot.
Like, come on. It was great. It was great. It was amazing. I'm so glad they kept her alive too, because I was like, damn, they killed it. She got stabbed. She's gonna die, whatever. But then at the end of the movie, it's like, hey, there's a pulse. I'm like, hey, bring her back, please. I love her. Right? Like the black guy is like, hey, I got a pulse on her.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I didn't catch that.
You know, if there's a pulse, there's no body. She's fine. I wish there was a pulse on this.
Blood transfusion to save Elsa.
Blood transfusion. Let's go.
I want to
dance with somebody.
I do. Actually, I want to talk about the motorcycle sequence. The cliff jump.
Yes. I said, what motorcycle
sequence?
Which one are you talking about? Yeah.
I got two things to say. Uh,
I agree with your thoughts. I saw this on Twitter.
yeah. First off,
I think it's yeah.
I think it's over marketed. Because by the time I'm watching, I'm like, here we are. like the sound cuts out, and I'm just like, it's real.
It's
like the
good,
magic's
yeah.
gone. I'm like, this is impressive as fuck, but like, fuck.
I don't think it was fully gone. I was still like breathless. I was like, yeah.
I was
buying
the
the sequence.
IMAX exclusive look, like how they shot it, like a number of times too, and I'm just like, yeah, the camera's off screen there.
Yeah.
But no, it's fine. I love movie magic like that. But I think because every trailer
had it. Yeah. But it's the thing with the fact you have to market, like, for example, the Rogue Nation expertly did like the plane sequence is going to be the biggest moment. And then it's like 5 minutes in the movie. You're like, okay.
It's also cool. At the beginning.
So people didn't care. Yeah. So yeah.
But my biggest thing is like I like it, and I think there's a lot of energy with Tom riding around on the bike. But they cut away from the sequence like 4 times.
It's weird. Yeah. They cut the whole, like, sound off. Very good. Very good. But similar to like the Halo jump, stick with it, right? Like the beauty of the Halo jump is that like it's going, the sound cuts off with the lightning strike, but it's a continuous Halo jump. From the minute he's fixing his gas mask on the ship, air mask on the ship, to the very bottom to he lands, it's one continuous sequence. This one, I mean, there's editing, but it's continuous. Like this one, we cut from him jumping, no sound, great, but then we go back to the train car, and then we go back to Benji, then maybe back to the train car, and then we go back to Ethan, like, hey, I'm coming, and then we go back to Grace, who's like fighting against Gabriel, or no, he's fighting against Ilana's brother, and then we come back to Ethan again. It was like, it's weird, right? Like I would have liked it to just been like, continuous, maybe one cut to Grace being like, oh shoot, the gun's on me kind of thing, and then one cut back to Ethan, crashes into the plane car. I think that's more effective. I think they wanted to give us a surprise factor of Ethan crashing in there. But I think
there's a way you can do it. I think there's a way you can do that differently.
Okay.
What I would probably have done is like have the whole build up right up to the sequence. Have Benji first, Ethan's a psycho with his stunts, so have him have the idea to do the cliff jump, and have Benji be the one to say in the projection of where he's going that he cannot clear the rocks and the cliff. So Ethan just, in desperation tries to find that higher peak, which he eventually does. And then keep having to be that build up. Like you can still cut back and forth with the stuff that's going on the train. Like probably cut back to a sequence where like shit's about to go down. Keep the pulsating of the music flowing, so you have that energy continuing, and we know why Ethan has to get there. So then when you do we're leading up to the jump, and like the music's pulsing, the sound and the editing's great, and then when he does the cliff, still do the cutout of the sound, and then do the whole thing. I think you immediately go into showcasing after the drop the parachute and trying to navigate and steer it, getting close to the train. Will he make it? Shit's about to go down. Then go back to the scene, watch your train scene. Grace about to get shot.
Grace about to get
Bam.
Shot. I'm shocked they didn't take away. They took away the aiming, because when I saw the behind the scenes of like the parachute glider thing, there's a lot of scenes of Ethan just like Tom practicing just like how to glide with that. So I figured after the train sequence, we were going to zoom in with him on thing, angling himself. It's a dangerous stunt that Tom has to glide across the mountain to angle himself to the train.
And they made like a big sequence of also like having the dual rig camera balance on the cameraman that has to follow Tom.
Yeah, but they totally cut that all out just to give us the boom surprise factor. But so going back, you were saying there was editing on the way to the mountaintop. Is that what you were complaining about as well?
Yeah, just well, I mean, I think it's fine because the whole sequence of like getting to the train and he misses the train. It's like okay, that's like if you want to cut away once, in the pursuit of trying to find a different angle, that's okay. But the fact that they like cut like backflow, like I'm on my way, I'm going. Then he stops, and then we stop at the cliff for a second, and then he's like, I have an idea, and then I think we cut away again. And then we go back.
It's very hard. I sympathize with them because there's so many angles. I think there was there's a passage where or article where it's like it was 90 minutes long at one point, but like because there's so many moving parts in that last act on the train alone. Like right, you have Grace's plan has to play as Vanessa Kirby, who was great in this movie as well. I love Vanessa Kirby.
I love the detail that Vanessa Kirby has such piercing blue eyes, but Grace's brown eyes are always present in that scene. And I'm like, how do you not see?
How do you not know?
You're her brother.
You're her brother. Like, come on, you're fired. You're fired. Like, I already said it in the last movie in Fallout. It's like he was an awful bodyguard in Fallout. Awful. Tom came into that group and totally took over. But anyways, he was awful in this movie. I'm like, come on, dude.
But by hiding the key on him would be like the last place you ever look.
Right? This idiot. But you're right. Like that's your brother. That's your sister. You should know. But I like how Vanessa Kirby got to dive into some comedy in this movie. I thought it worked very well. Yeah. I thought she was great in Fallout, but I arguably liked her better in this one, where she's like getting into that dramatic role that she had in Fallout, that alluring, like charismatic role in the clubhouse scene. But also some vulnerability where she's like, I cannot die. I'm sorry, I cannot die. I need to see you tomorrow. She's tearing up. It was a great scene.
There's a lot of tearing up in this movie when delivering lines.
It gets emotional. Like, with Benji, Vanessa Kirby, Luther, Ilsa, Ethan, like wherever your God is, I will find you. Like when he's getting out, let's go.
That is great.
That is written. Let's go. The dialogue of this movie. Oh, we can talk about Wisdom's chaos line too.
There's a quick editing choice that I noticed from the trailer was different in the movie, and I was kind of bummed because
which one?
That shot where Ethan's like, "That is written." It cuts back to Gabriel's face as he says it, and I was like, I want to see Ethan's visceral movement there.
So we didn't get the.
He starts, but then it cuts over to him. Okay. Like there's some of the choices. There's like a 2% where it's like okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, going back to that train sequence, I agree. Like it's so much to play with because there's like the two government guys and Shea Wickham and the other guy, Paris betrayal / taking out guys. Gabriel is taking out people on the train. Meanwhile, Grace is intercepting everything. Vanessa Kirby's getting cloned. There's so much. Meanwhile, Ethan's on his way. Yeah, so it's a lot. But I agree. I think the jump itself and what follows could have been edited better. Some scenes on the bridge could have been edited better as well. Elsa's fight sequence.
And all that to say, none of it's bad.
None of it's bad. I think it just could have been even better, right? Yeah. I was never bored by it, right? I just think I think this could have been more effective.
Yeah, I was watching like, this is cool, but it's not making me like, fuck yeah. Because it's a set piece. That's
I didn't go fuck yeah until like the train starts falling. I'm just like, this is movie magic.
Also, I do want to shout out Vanessa Kirby, very much making me believe that she is Haley Atwell. In that
so
scene.
Good,
so good. Yeah. Like I really am watching that scene now, and other than being like, Kirby's wearing contacts, I am just like, this is Grace. This is Grace in the scene. It's really
insane. You said that, Nathan. You're totally right. You're like, I buy into that's just Haley Atwell in a mask, but no, that's Vanessa Kirby.
We have this technology.
It's Vanessa Kirby. It's not. Yeah. Like, that's just Haley Atwell in a Vanessa Kirby mask. Like, no, that's Vanessa Kirby playing as Haley Atwell.
My brain starts thinking about stupid shit. I'm like, are there like cuticles? Because that would be Haley Atwell's hands technically. Yeah. It's just the mask, like the bodies did the original.
In all, I think every step piece of this movie, the airport scene, the Venice chase, train sequence, the clubhouse scene, it's just my heart's pounding. Like it's one of the most emotionally compelling Mission Impossible movies, next to of course Rogue Nation and Fallout. Where I'm just like, I'm so invested in the first act. And like Ilsa has been out for like there's a bounty on Ilsa. I'm just like the desert sequence is very cool, very very cool. I love it.
Both times, because I think it's like almost a half hour you get into the movie before they light the fuse. Mm-hmm. At both times, I'm like, oh fuck, I forgot about the fuse.
Me too. Like, because I'm so invested. Like this is one of those rare movies where I'm just like instantly invested. I'm so locked in with what's gonna happen with Ilsa, what's happening with Ethan. It just a lot of this movie just knocked my socks off. I thought it was fantastic. what else? I loved a lot of this movie. Again, the only issue I had is the Osa thing, but I also think thematically, I talked about it in my reaction on Twitter. Thematically, it continues what Fallout's talking about with the connections that Ethan has made to his team, the things he's willing to do for them. A lot of the lines like just nailed Ethan as a character. We're talking about like you see in the trailers, right, where he's just like the mission cannot cost more than the team, and Ethan's like, I refuse to believe that. And then after Ilsa is dead, or maybe not dead, you don't know, but he's like, I can't protect you, Grace. Like you can join our team, but I don't know. He's doubting himself a little bit. Maybe he's doubting himself to trick Grace because Ilsa's alive. Maybe, hopefully. But like,
I think he might have like a semblance of belief in it too, based on the experience. Like
that's true.
I think the fact that Elsa's was in that scenario is risk enough to be like, I can't promise this.
Exactly. I think way more eloquently than I was going to say. But yeah, you're right. So yeah, I think it still hits home regardless. But yeah, then of course people were like Gabriel and Kittredge are totally saying like, this mission that you're on it's idiotic, it's stupid. This is a new era. Like the whole AI of it all, right? We didn't even talk about it, but the whole AI of it all, it goes 100% against Ethan's character. It's like nobody should have this much power, and he thinks about that instantly, right? Like instantly, he talks to Kittredge like not one person should have this power. And Kittredge is like totally against that. He's a political guy, he's a government guy, and Ethan's totally against it. And then I like how other characters sympathize with that. Like Shea Wiggum's talking to his buddies like, what do you think? He's like, I'd give it to my superiors. And he's like, or because no one person should have this power. And he's like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. So it's like, it's very interesting that other people are starting to glean that. So yeah, I just think the government aspect worked in this movie, the AI, the thematic like elements, it continued Fallout's theme and Fallout's character roles. I had a blast with this movie. The action's great. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I had a blast. So yeah, right now, I go Fallout, Rogue Nation, Dead Reckoning Part 1. Okay. And then, Fallout, Rogue Nation, Dead Reckoning Part 1, 3, Ghost Protocol, 1, 2. What's my ranking?
I go Fallout, Dead Reckoning, 3, Rogue Nation, Ghost Protocol, 1, 2.
Perfect. Yeah. So you have Fallout, Dead Reckoning, 3. Yeah.
I think we just have. I think we
really like 3.
I think we just have 5 and 7 swapped in our list, right? Or
you have 3 by 5. I don't.
Oh, okay. That's what I was saying. Because is Rogue Nation your second?
Yes.
And
okay. So yeah.
Yeah. Is Reckoning your 4th?
Reckoning is my 3.
3.
Oh. 5, 7. Yeah. Dead Reckoning's number 3 for me. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're close.
We're close enough.
In my
you
overall,
really like 3. I like that.
In my overall ranking of the year, Dead Reckoning is still my. It's my number 2, but now I'm like, fuck, Oppenheimer is really good.
I'm very because I talked about it at the beginning up top. I'm like the number 1 and 2 of the year. Spoiler, not spoiler, but like I don't know anymore. It's hard for me because I did have Dead Reckoning above Suzume, but then like I need to rewatch Suzume. That movie like was an instant 5 stars for me. But then Dead Reckoning came out, I was like, that's a 4.5. I loved everything in Dead Reckoning besides the Ilsa stuff because that would easily be like number 1 or 2. Yeah. But Across the Spider-Verse is still number 1. Oppenheimer though, I'm like,
I was ranking Oppenheimer. I'm like,
that's hard.
I can't pass Suzume. I can't do it.
Where's Suzume at for you?
It's my number 5.
It's number 5.
There's so much heart in my top 5.
Right, Nathan. It's so hard. It's so hard. Barbie's comfortably at number. I think it's number 6 for me. But yeah, let's move into next. Barbie. Let's move into Barbie.
Yeah, let's get some levity before we
get some levity in here.
Before we,
Nathan over here with no letterbox rankings. What's up with that, buddy?
For Barbie?
Yeah, stars.
I can't right now.
Oh, because your theater messed up.
My theater messed up. I still basically saw the whole movie. The interruption really took me out of it, so I lost my like sense of connection that it was building up for me. So
you gave it 3 stars.
I didn't do anything. I haven't reviewed it at all. I logged it, but it was like when that happened, like you were just like reset to square one emotionally. So it was literally as the girls are on their way to Barbie Land, shit started to superimpose on screen.
That's so weird.
And what I thought they were doing was being like, I thought they were doing a thing that was like showcasing like a meanwhile, like, oh, we're gonna go to Barbie Land, it'd be great, and shit's going to fuck in Barbie Land.
Oh, so you're like Greta. Okay.
I was like, okay, because then they also like started to impose. Where it was, they're starting to impose like the fucking long ass bicycle while the execs come and as well following them, and I was like, okay, yeah, we're bridging, okay, and then it kept going, and I'm like, oh, I barely saw John Cena.
That's so weird. It didn't just fix itself out.
I saw like one person walked out of the theater, and then two more people walked out, and I was like, all right, well, somebody's gonna tell somebody.
I love that. I love that. Sometimes in the theater, I never usually get up. Like, I'm always like, I'm not risking.
What if I get up and it's fixed and I missed it?
Exactly right. Like I'm not risking it. I'd rather take the L.
I was also boxed in. I was like, I don't want to fucking.
Yeah. Like when I saw Weathering with You in 2019, it was all in dub, but I'm like, I don't want to get up now and complain that it should be subbed. Like I'll just get my refund afterwards. And then I talked to the manager because he didn't want to give me the refund. Anyways, yeah. So so you were saying you didn't give it a star ranking, but did you give it a ranking of the year at all, or what?
No, I logged it that I watched it, but I didn't give a review. I didn't give stars. I didn't rank it. I didn't do anything because I need to watch it again.
So you betrayed Letterboxd, basically. That's what you're telling me.
I'm being fair.
You're being fair, okay?
Because it's funny. Cause I'm watching everybody else on the fucking planet praise the fuck out of this movie, and I do not want to be compared to fucking Shapiro fucker.
Wow, I didn't know we were going there.
Because I could easily just randomly be like, I don't know if I felt the connection. People would be calling me, you fucking man here. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
So by the way,
some people are like leaving like I forget her name on Twitter, but people leave comments on Letterboxd. I'm like, people actually go on Letterboxd to leave people bad comments? Like, why? I didn't know people do that on Letterboxd. First of all, I hardly ever leave people comments on Letterboxd. Letterboxd for me is just like rankings, look at other people's rankings and shit, and grade whatever. I never comment on people's rankings. Why? It's Letterboxd. It doesn't matter. It's nonsensical to me. It's so
change
weird.
it. No.
Right? It's like, I disagree with you, you fucking idiot. Okay.
And you can't reply to comments either. So
you really can't. Like,
you can't comment on your own thing.
No, you can't. So, which is even weirder for me to people leave like bad messages about your rankings. I'm like, why did you? So you had to click on the movie, scroll down, look for a review you didn't like, read it, and then leave a bad remark. Like, you know how many holes you had to dig for to get there?
I'm a dedicated hater.
Right? Like, what kind of people are dumb? I love Barbie.
See that meme going around?
Yeah.
Fucking.
Yeah. I love this movie. I thought it was fantastic. 4.5. The only 0.5, only complaints, like we won't go into another 40-minute rant because I don't really have one for this movie. But it just some of the comedy was like hit and miss for me. Not a lot of it worked, but that's the case for like every comedy.
Sure.
Some of the comedy didn't work, but for the most part, I loved this movie. I think Margot Robbie was fantastic, perfect as Barbie, stereotypical Barbie. Ken was fantastic. Wow. Ryan Gosling, that's why he's so good. Ryan Gosling was beyond fantastic as Ken.
Never would have expected him to be an antagonist.
Me neither, right? Like, I saw him in that, like, in the build up to this movie, he has a music video of I Am Ken, and he's wearing black. I'm like, that's an interesting choice. Yeah. I didn't watch it either. But, thumbnails or whatever, he's wearing like a black coat. I'm like, cool.
I like
the antagonistic route though. It made sense.
I also kind of wish the teaser didn't was just the opening of the movie, right? The 2001.
I liked it.
I loved it as a teaser, but I think the fact that I'm watching it in the movie again was like, damn, this would have been cool to just see for the first time.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. But I like how a lot of the teasers, both that teaser and then the subsequent trailers, showed us like the first third of the movie.
Yeah,
The whole outer world stuff was minimally in the trailer.
yeah.
So I was really surprised by the stuff outside of the Barbie Land, which didn't work for me as much as the Barbie Land stuff. But the Barbie Land stuff was also just very fun, and everything was very fun.
Yeah.
It's a contagiously fun movie. It's hilarious. Like I was laughing so hard. Probably my favorite joke in the movie is when Ken's talking to that guy in the like this random business building. He's like, I was just looking for some patriarchal stuff, and the guy's like, we don't really do anything patriarchal or stuff like. Not that we not for lack of trying or whatever.
We do. We just we're better at hiding it.
Yeah. We do better hide it. I did it. Blew my mind. I was dying because
It's funny.
The beauty of this movie that it's not even subtextual, right? The commentary is so direct, but it's so well written and beautifully direct that it works, right?
I think it's because you have characters that come from such a surface level world that them calling out these what would be undertones in any other situation as just like blatant on the surface is, I think that's their niche in this.
Yeah, it's a hard balance, but Greta Gerwig, Noah Baumbach perfectly get that balance. Because you're right, like these are toys, right? They have these like symbolic and just idealistic definitions and ideas of what like their
mindsets are child mindsets because they're fueled by the people that play with them.
Exactly, and they have these dated and childlike mindsets, which is both good and bad. And I like how the movie dives into that. Like the beginning of the movie, everything looks peaceful and everything is cool. But Greta challenges that whole dynamic of like the Barbies being in control of everything and the Kens being the ones to be like a lack of identity, really. And then it gets reversed where the Kens are finding their identity in an antagonistic way, of course. And the Barbies kind of get a glimpse of what the Kens were feeling like. And they both, which is why it's so crazy for me that people are like, this is anti-men or whatever. But because like both Barbies and Kens come to a compromise at the end of the movie. Yes, the Barbies are back in control of the Supreme Court, but it's like everything's back to normal-ish. But like,
there's a great line from the narrator that's like, "One day the Kens will have just as much power as women in the real world."
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, oof. Like it hits hard because like it's the fact that Barbies and Kens can come to a compromise in Barbie Land. And like compromise and acceptance, really, where the Barbies were accepting of like what the Kens were feeling, and Kens were accepting of what the Barbies were feeling, and how like the gender imbalance and everything like that like is touched upon, and how women should be having these rights, and the Kens should be allowed to have have the ability to forge their own identities in a sense, because they were struggling with forming their sense of self and their sense of abilities and sense of like identity. All of them were really. But the Kents mostly.
I can see like a point of view that I thought of this on the spot. Maybe it's not the case, but
Okay.
Since when you think of like the mindset, like all this is driven from, and granted they exited the real world, so they developed their own mindsets, but like the idea of like the whole predominant situation of Barbie being very like women control and stuff, and not much development in the men department angle. Mirroring, I think, like, because there's like a real world situation where like there are plenty of boys out there who would have interest in wanting to play with Barbies and stuff, and
great point.
Society is like ruled as like, no, Transformers, GI Joe, go play.
I know plenty of friends who were just like, my dad didn't let me play with toy horses growing up, and dad didn't let me play with like Barbies growing up, and they're like 3 or 4. Like it doesn't matter then, right? But like parents have the idea of gender roles, and they try to embody that into little kids,
or pink or blue.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like who don't know better, but also who do know better. Like a lot of you learn this in psychology and stuff like that. Like kids are way smarter than they seem, right? Like growing up, whether you're 3, 4, or 5, children already have ideas of gender. Small enough as it is, like they already know, like, okay, this is what men should be, this is what boys should be played with, this is what girls should be played with, that kind of thing. That's how cooties gets the thing, right?
Yeah, it's so many adults have the fucking cootie mindset. Because
right? Yeah, it's a mindset.
there's so many like situations where like all of like the big arguments from these, warped-minded people who also make our laws and shit, just being of a mindset of like, hey, you're gonna endanger the minds of our children. But then when a child's in these real situations, I saw this fucking funny tweet the day where like, this uncle was talking about how this is his bedroom, but also his partner also sleeps in the same bedroom. He's like, shit, now I gotta explain this shit, and she's just like, but like, she like the most minute shit, just like, yeah, but like, what side is comfier to sleep on? Like, it doesn't, like, inconsequential shit. They're not thinking of your stuff that makes you uncomfortable. That's your faults, man.
Exactly, right? And the beauty of it is like, I mean, that's why I love Barbie, because we can get into these conversations. But like, yeah, but like, adults these days are like, I'm scared for my children, right? They use the excuse that they're scared for the children, saying like, oh, the whole transgender bathrooms, or the whole like gay, straight, homosexual stuff like that, like transgender, whatever. It's like I'm scared for my children. Children shouldn't be talking about this stuff. Like I literally went to a family reunion. Probably shouldn't be talking about this on air. But anyway, I'll skip that conversation. But anyways, but there's people in the world who are scared to talk about this stuff, or scared for their children to talk about this stuff, when it's just them, the adults, that are scared to talk about this stuff. And that's what I love about this movie, that the adults, as in like the producers, not producers, but the creators of the toys, are the ones who still have no clue about the gender topic of it all. They're just there for that profit, right? Like they really don't care. One of the best lines in this movie is Will Ferrell. I'm the son of a mother. Like, I was like,
All right.
it was fantastic. It was great.
I think he was trying to be suave, and he was like, I'm the mother of a son.
Yeah. Like what? It's incredible.
That spiel was so funny. He was like, we had a CEO in the 90s, and there was another one at a point. That's two right there.
That's two right there. It's like, okay. White guy, white guy, white guy, white guy, white guy, old white guy, white guy. It was great. So yeah, that's what I love about this movie, though, right? Like, end all be all, like all these, like the Ken in general, Ryan Gosling had a great arc, which is so unexpected for me, because Margot is like the stereotypical Barbie who has to go through like a lesson of sorts, but also empowerment of sorts. Ken is also finding his own like masculine identity, or like he's confronted with the the real world sense of masculine identity.
Yeah.
But what he learns through Barbie Land by the third act is that like there's a more healthier side to discovering that masculine identity and making it not just masculine or feminine. Just be you, Ken. Discover who you are, Ken, outside of the gender norms. Who are you as a person? I think that's what's so beautiful about this movie, is that like people shouldn't be boxed in by masculine or feminine, etc. Embrace your identity, discover it on your own outside of those rigid norms that society, the real world, has placed on people. So it was so fascinating. Just Ken's arc was so good, while also being hilariously funny. It just so on point in the best of ways. Like the whole musical scene at the end, I am Ken. It's so blatant, right? I am Ken. Like Ken should just learn to be Ken, but in a song about I am Ken, he's struggling just trying to be Ken, right? It's so on the nose, but filled with such in depth as well. It's like I was mind blown. I was having a whole conversation with my brother Jalen outside the movie theater on our way home. Just like, this movie is so direct, but also is infused with such depth and conversation that it makes it so worthwhile. And with combining that with a lot of jokes and comedy, like this is going to be an instant classic. Like you can just easily rewatch this movie again and again, because there's never a dull moment for me. Some of the jokes might not hit all the way, but like I think all the supporting performances. Issa Rae was great. I'm going against the internet, but I like Simu Liu too. I don't know if people hate on him.
Yeah,
but like I don't know why. But he was great. Ryan Gosling, I said, is great. Oh, Kingsley Ben-Adir is killing it on Secret Invasion. I thought he was great in as like, was it Tall Ken or whatever in this movie.
Or the subtitles in the theater.
Yeah. Where can people go to see subtitles?
There's
are there subtitle screenings?
There's like a couple like subsection where there'll be like one or two showings that have a closed captioning.
Huh. Because sometimes, like when I was at Cinemark one time, somebody had the closed captioning, but it was like on their seat, and like they had like this. I don't know what it was called. Like they had like a
Like
portable
for the
device.
tablet, I think, right?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think they hand those out for the hard of hearing.
Hard of it. Yeah. So yeah, it was exactly why I'm like, I want to go to those kind of screenings, not just for the portable stuff. I don't want to have to like, and I can't. There's no reason for me to use it in the first place, so I don't think I'm able to use it.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, I feel like some subtitles will help me out with some movies. Not Barbie, just in general. Anyways, but yeah, I just adored this movie. Oh, we didn't get into America Ferrera was amazing in this movie.
Right.
I'm not really familiar with a lot of her work, but I thought she was great. Her daughter, Ariana, I forget her last name. That's the same girl from 65, right? That's her.
Is it?
Isn't it? Adam's like not Adam's daughter, but just the daughter figure he has.
Right.
In the movie.
Maybe. Honestly, I was kind of thrown watching her because she looked really similar to Daphne Keane to me.
Oh.
I was like, Laura?
See, yeah, it is Ariana Greenblatt from Barbie. Yeah.
Okay.
Why does she look so young in 65? When did they film 65?
When did they? Yeah. Kids in their growth spurts,
Dude, it's crazy. My brother was watching it for the first time yesterday or 2 days ago, and Finn Wolfhard, young as hell, but now he's like the tallest person in Stranger Things. Yeah, he's like lanky ass. Will, whatever his name is. He's not Will. Whatever.
Mike.
Sam. Mike. Some white kid name.
There's no Sam.
Will, Sam, Mike. I don't know. Something basic.
Some 3 to 4 letter name.
Yeah, there is no Sam. Maybe it's season 5. She was fantastic. The daughter was great. Production design was great, dude. Like, I read an article and Greta made. Did you read it? Where it's like, they were like 23% taller. Margot was 23% taller than the rest of the set, so it had like that toyish feel to it, where she would just be like a little bit taller than the rest of her
very real
surroundings. I was like, that's pretty cool. Kind of the little minuscule things you don't think about in terms of production design, but outside from the architecture, it just goes into like the designs of set architecture.
It's so funny because you expect that like it's gonna be like, because we're in the Barbie world, we're gonna experience how you anticipate like their world to be, but like all the food is empty. Like she goes down a water slide to her pool, walks right on the surface of the water because it's plastic.
Yeah.
Like this whole world, it's so funny. She gets in the car and it just goes one way, and she like look around and wave because she's not driving.
She's not driving, right? It doesn't matter. But yeah, it has like that. It had a toyish feel to it all.
Great thing with the narrator was just like when you play with a Barbie, you don't like take them down the stairs. You use your imagination. You just flip down.
You're flipping down, like yeah, it's so good. Yeah, Helen Mirren, great as the narrator.
Funniest line, man. Funniest jokes. Barbie's breakdown. She's like, "I'm ugly." And it's like filmmaker note: do not cast Margot Robbie.
If trying to make that point. The whole theater laughed. That was great. That was hilarious. But yeah, there's so much heart to like America Ferrera's monologue. Oh my gosh, I wanted to I was literally like about to start clapping, but like nobody else started clapping. I was like, I'm not gonna do that in the movie theater. I'm not some idiot.
I don't start the claps.
I don't start the clap. I'll get on to it, but nobody else did it, so I was like, I'll hold tight. But I instantly like physical reactions when I start clapping, because one of the best monologues I've ever heard. It was just so riveting and important and fantastic and so well acted. I was just so on point. It was nothing it was nothing new, right? But it was just so refreshing that it was said out loud.
It hits all of these common issues that women face so precisely. It's so well articulated. Like, cause there's obviously so many problems, and obviously she probably could have kept going.
No,
but
definitely.
With all the different points she was making, it's just like that. It really does feel like you just like captured everything so succinctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was so eloquently spoken. And yeah, I like through her character, we're learning more just about not just about like feminism, but also like motherhood as well. And that was a big part of like being a woman,
Yeah.
and you know that can't be used for Margot Robbie's character. So that the fact that we have uh, America Ferrera's character in there as well, and I like that as well. You know, we think stereotypical Margot Robbie's character is like played by the daughter, but it turns out like it was played by America Ferrera, which
I
was a
love that.
fantastic twist. I was like, oh, that makes sense because like she's dealing with like the issues of being a mother, wishing to go back, which is playing with her kid, and Barbie kind of symbolized the beauty of playing with your kids, the
Yeah.
whole childlike thing, the dynamic. It was just the whole mother-child dynamic was really special, really sweet. Yeah, I just love this movie. Oh, the scene on the bench that apparently WB wanted to take out with the elderly woman was great.
Well, they wanted to cut it.
Yeah, they wanted to cut that out. Apparently, I'm like, wow, really? That's one of the best trailer moments because it said it wasn't like pivotal, but I'm like, she tells the old lady that she's beautiful, which is one of the best like you know direct themes of the movie.
After she's bringing it down, tells her she's beautiful, and the old lady's like, "I knew it," and they just laugh, and it's nice.
Great, it's nice, it's beautiful, exactly. You know the scene with the creator. I forget her name now. Ross, something like that. Barbara. The daughter's name is Barbara.
I don't think it was the actual Barbie creator, right? It was
I don't think so. I think she's dead, right?
Because I feel like I've seen this actress before, and I don't.
Okay. Yeah. I think the name is correct, but yeah, I think the actress is incorrect. Could be wrong. But I feel like the creator of Barbie is long dead, right? The Barbie was created in the 40s, 30s. I'm not sure. Yeah, do some fact checking. But yeah, I love that scene with them in the middle of the movie when they're really kind of like when she's running away from Mattel and then she just randomly walks into that creator. You don't know she's a creator at that time, but it's still a great scene. Just that whole, oh my gosh, that whole ending with Barbie just like going through the memories, going through like the like different relationships, the memories. When the tear in her eyes, both scenes where she gets like tear in her eyes, the middle of the movie, the end of the movie, so well done. Like this, the emotionality of this movie just really hits so unexpectedly, but so powerfully at the same time. Like I had a blast watching this movie. I can't wait to watch it again. Might not catch it in theaters again. I might invest in seeing Oppenheimer more so again than Barbie. I think I got all I needed to get from Barbie. You know what I mean? Like I understood Barbie. We'll get to Oppenheimer here in a second, but there's points where I'm like, I think I need to see it again. But overall, Barbie, fantastic movie. Loved it. Easily my top 10 here.
Ruth Handler, the creator of Barbie. Yeah, she passed in 2002.
Okay, yeah. Because she was born like in the early 1900s.
I agree. Barbie is fantastic. I want to get that proper viewing experience, so I'm looking forward to seeing it again. I do wonder what the second weekend box office is going to look like for both of these.
Oh my gosh. Apparently people are saying now it made 155 on Sunday, but people are saying Sunday is higher than estimate, so it could be 163 by tomorrow morning. $8 to $10 million more. That being said, the last time WB had a movie that opened with 160 something, it flopped in BVS. Not flopped. BVS was not a flop. As much people want to say it was a flop. It underperformed.
Yeah, you have a whole argument today.
The BVS made 873, give or take, $1 million. That's a success. But with movies like BVS, they wanted that to be $1 billion easily. Especially when Aquaman made $1 billion. What?
Was it domestic or worldwide? 300.
Oh no, I meant 800. BVS made 800 worldwide, and they wanted it to make $1 billion.
In this day and age, if nothing's $1 billion, it's a flop.
Right, yeah. But I think people are talking about it. Like in this day and age, 2022 is a different age than 2018, where it's like 700 million is like the new $1 billion. If a movie can make 700 million in 2023, a movie theaters are still recovering, that's a huge success. That's why Mario and Top Gun are like big success, or No Way Home. It's like those movies made over $1 billion in a day and age where we're still recovering from the pandemic. Like that's huge. So I think 700, 800, those are successes. If a movie can crack that, like Spider-Verse getting close to 700, Of course, you have to take into account the budget as well. Having said all that, I think going with your question, opening with 163 on Sunday, probably gonna have a great Monday, a great week overall. Nothing's coming out next week, right? Haunted Mansion's gonna flop.
Haunted Mansion comes out following week.
Gran
TMNT.
Turismo, into TMNT. I think we're looking at what's 50% of 166? 80. So I think we're looking at 85 to 90 next week. I think it would be probably sub 50%. Yeah. I think because of the reviews.
I think
Oppenheimer maybe 55 because it's a 3-hour epic. People can go watch it again. I'm not sure.
I think Oppenheimer will do pretty good. It's keeping the IMAX for probably until Beetle comes out.
Yeah, they had Gran Turismo. So like I think Oppenheimer could contest with Mission Impossible, where I think Oppenheimer could crack 200 domestically easily. We shall see. Excuse me. We shall see.
Well,
yeah, I love Barbie. Let's get into Oppenheimer.
Let's talk about
spoilers abound.
Quickly.
What?
Let's talk about this 3-hour movie quickly.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sorry.
No, we're good. I'm just making jokes, but
yeah. So in the beginning of this movie, let's go pay my. We're not going to go
when he become death.
Yeah. What is with you and the grammar?
Because who talks like that?
You know,
I think it's like
Nolan to have that scene,
the way he slipped it in.
slipping it in when he's having sex with Florence Pugh. Only Nolan could do that, and it works wonders. It's great. It's a great scene.
Read the same script.
And then having the Florence Pugh scene again later on when he's talking in front of the
court.
It's not a court. We're not a court, right? We're a tribunal, or whatever it was called.
Yeah. Not a hearing, but is
not a hearing, but it is.
Well, what's funny is like the feeling of it is like they're gonna fucking like lock up Oppenheimer. They're just taking away his security.
Yeah, so he can't leave America, right? Am I wrong there? Is that the thing? With that security clearance, you can't leave America.
I don't know. I think it's just like kicking him out of the very institution that he was, helping for so long.
Yeah. I gotta look up. So overall, I instantly give this 5 out of 5 because I was riveted completely from start to finish. It's one of those rare movies where I'm just like sitting up because I'm so invested in the storytelling and the riveting nature of like Oppenheimer's past and his morality. It was so fascinating. Just in the first 10 minutes, the score, when it kicks in and it never stops.
It doesn't stop.
Oh my God! Ludwig, you monster!
You psycho! This movie is the living embodiment of... No, that's manifestation. It's the living embodiment of tightening a guitar string and waiting for it to snap. Because the tension is consistent until the detonation,
and even afterwards, right?
Afterwards, kind of like the fall from grace section.
It's the fall from grace, but you're right. Yeah, like the tension ramps. It's consistent, even like from his college days. Like when we're just introduced to like Strauss, when we're introduced to Oppenheimer, like those two characters, like the black and white and the color, after the storyline, it's just so tense, right? It's like I can't wait to revisit this movie, dude, because like going back the whole ending where like the movie's all about like what did Oppenheimer say to Einstein, and RDJ is taking over. It's one of my favorite tracks. I think it's called like because I was listening to it last night when I was reading My Hero. Mm-hmm. By the way, this score goes with anything. I was reading Naruto last night. I was reading My Hero last night. I was reading IQ. Yeah, it's a jam into it, and it goes well with everything. People are getting killed off when I'm reading. I'm just like, it's great. But anyways, that scene with Einstein is so pivotal to Strauss and Oppenheimer, and then to get that reflection, to leave that as the final note in the movie, peak. Have you seen what was it called? Celine Song's Past Lives. Have you seen Past Lives yet?
Not yet.
Oh no. Okay. no spoilers, but there's a scene that parallels. I'm just say that, and I love when movies do that. It's just like when you see this movie, when you see like the whole perspective where Strauss is looking and he just sees Einstein, Oppenheimer talking. And I'm so riveted. I'm like, what are they saying? Like, it's such a calmly,
just like deadpans him and passes him by. Doesn't.
Yeah, just deadpans in such a calmly but tense scene. I'm just like, whoa! It leaves a mysterious air, and you're very intrigued by it. And then to that be continuously brought up, and RDJ just, by the way, oh my god, oh my god, my dad hates RDJ. Not a huge fan of him. You know, he was alive in the '90s, and when RDJ was doing all that crazy shit. So he just wasn't never a big fan. He likes Iron Man though, but anyways, he was like, "This is the best RDJ thing." I was just raving about RDJ ever since I saw the movie. It was just, oh my god, when he's yelling at Auden about just like that guy, he's so conceited.
I love that.
He ruined me, and he was just going off, and it was fantastic. And I'm just like, that's the Oscar clip right there, where he's just yelling at Auden, just like all of his insecurities, honestly, right? Like,
yeah.
Which Auden clocks. It's like, no, it's all about you, right? You're conceited, like conceited intellect. You conceited like doubts, whatever.
Did you consider maybe they weren't talking about you?
Yeah. And the whole theater is just like, oh!
Kennedy, John F. Kennedy. Oh shit!
Oh shit!
The the United States government initiative.
Kennedy's the best. No, he's not.
I wonder how it'll end.
Yeah, one of my history teachers like notoriously hated Kennedy. It was hilarious.
Oh. Known X-Men mutant John F. Kennedy. I tweeted that.
No, that's great.
I want to know what his power is. It's charm.
What was the thing about that? Magneto killed him or something like that? What was it?
Eric curved the bullet.
Eric curved the bullet.
He's locked up because they think he tried to kill him, but he was trying to save him because he's one of their own.
That's great. Why?
Why
was it in there?
We're in history, so let's do shit.
Let's do it. Whatever. Okay. Oh man, that was great. Anyways, that was a great line. Like the crowd was like, you hear the crowd be like, oh. It was great. Just one of those from like, yeah, my crowd was like, oh,
I think I heard like one or two chuckles.
Yeah, my crowd was really invested. I think we clapped at the end. A lot of the Auden and RDJ scene people were just like, just a small little clap or two. When Auden's like the line you just said about like maybe it wasn't about you, it's just like, and RDJ gives him that look. It's great. It's like it's peak entertainment, which is shocking because, as you said, the first 2/3 of this movie is all tense and riveting as hell. And the last third, you're like, is it going to be interesting? It's just it turns into a different genre basically. It's a courtroom drama, which was already interspliced throughout the movie. But the last third kind of drills it home with the perspectives of the U.S. government and the McCarthy era.
It's such a great story, and the fact that it's real.
Yeah, right. I'm so glad, real quick. I'm so glad that as a history buff, I'm not really familiar with this. I'm familiar with the era, the Joseph McCarthyism era,
sure.
But like I'm not familiar with Oppenheimer's backstory at all. So everything to me, I was just like trying to learn a lot of information.
All I know is like I've seen the clip of the interview that I Am Become Death.
Yeah, I've seen the Godzilla teaser. Yeah.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
It annoys me that watching the archival footage though, because like it's cropped like right up to his fucking face here.
Oh no!
Like please come back. But it's still great.
What P is this? 120, 30, 20, 10?
144.
144.
Archival film foot. Well, it's film, so it's better quality. No. Anyway, yeah, I didn't know much about it either. Fascinating that did he really fucking cyanide that apple?
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, that was very funny. But it goes into morality wise. It's Nolan magnificently seeding us into his not childish morality, but it's like
impulsive.
Yeah. Perfect word. Thank you. This is why we pay you the big bucks. No, big bucks.
Give him the big booms.
We pay you the big booms. Bada boom, bada bing. He lost a whole New York subscriber base.
What are you blowing up? Anyway.
That was Jersey. No, I'm kidding. You would know. Anyways,
They're gonna
his
jump.
impulsive nature, which is so, again, pivotal to his character, right? Like, he's impulsive, he's morally ambiguous and childish at times. Definitely childish. The amount of sex this guy got into. Holy shit! Cheating on a lot of different people there. That was crazy to me.
Yeah, he cheated on Florence
Yeah.
and Emily Blunt, but then also that vicious cycle. Those two.
And then the other blonde that he was hanging out with towards the end of the movie as well. Or one of my favorite lines was like, the other guy was heartbroken about your relationship with his wife, and he was like, "That's because he never found out." I was like, "Wow!"
I thought because we didn't see that, I thought they were just saying that to like smear his name more. I didn't think that was.
Oh no, 100%. Like the second time they met in one of those scenes, I was like, "Is he banging her?" Probably. Yeah, I had an inkling. I
was blinded by Florence.
Yeah, but one of my small criticisms of the movie, again, 5 stars, but it's one of the movies where I need to see it again to comprehend a lot of the characters' motivations.
Sure.
I think I got the core. Cillian Murphy is Cillian, right?
Killian.
I got the core, and that's the heart of the movie, right? So that's why it works. I got the core emphasis and importance of Cillian's morality and Cillian's, or lack thereof, or subject of. I don't know. Like, I like how Nolan expertly gives so much depth to Cillian's morality and Cillian's questioning of nature. Like, when did you know this? When did you know that? Why didn't you say anything? Why did you say something? Like, they went back and forth on that a lot. I liked that a lot. It was so riveting. But there's some points in the movie where I'm just like, why is that character doing that? Like, Florence Pugh's motivation. She is an X factor in the movie. That's what she's used for. But it's also like she's like a chaotic factor. By the way, she definitely got killed by FBI agents, right? They definitely killed her. Is that what you got?
I thought she was suicidal. I thought that's what it was.
I thought so too. But then I saw gloves, and then my brother and my dad said like they definitely killed her off because she's a communist.
Oh.
And then they just said she committed suicide. I have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure FBI killed her ass.
Shit.
I have to rewatch it because I'm not the only one. People are online saying it as well. I'm like, okay.
Now I need to like do research before watching again.
Yeah, let me do some research. Let me read a book. Let me read the book. A lot of people have bought the book.
Wikipedia page in the middle of the movie.
It's like top 20 on Amazon now or something. The Prometheus, American Prometheus. I don't read though. Anyways,
very fitting quote as well on the screen.
I agree. Oh my god.
The gods.
Love me some Prometheus. Yeah.
Which just goes into the mindset of the guilt carried.
For sure.
I love the whole characterization of Oppenheimer. Like,
yeah,
what you're doing here. Like, they question on multiple times. Is like, is this a good idea? And I know it is circumstantial to their situation, but it really does feel a lot of the time that they're trying to reason like, well, if we don't, they will. Like,
that was the core reason, right? If we don't, they will, and this is the most important thing ever. And I think that was his exterior thing, was like, if we don't, they will. Internally, I think also he's a science theoretical guy. He was built by this. He has dreams of science, right? Of atoms colliding. I think intellectually he was just driven by, like I said in my tweet, he's driven by greatness. He's an intellectual mastermind. He's a genius, of course. That can't be taken away. So I think he's driven by the theoretical knowledge of like, can we accomplish this? It can be accomplished. People have already done it. I think we can try and do it. Try and make the bomb, the atomic bomb, and make it successfully.
Not only a case of like trying to make the biggest bomb on the planet, but
of
also,
course, no, it's not like I want to make it. He's not saying I want to build a bomb, but it's theoretically, it's like
we are committing you to make the most important tool in the history of mankind, and also we need you to deliver by a certain date. And I know it's like a game of like political chess of like getting approvals and things to go through to ensure that this happens.
And the interesting thing was like when Matt Damon first introduces him. Matt Damon, fantastic as well in this. The whole supporting cast.
Yeah.
Pete. Josh Hartnett.
Josh Peck, give him the Oscar.
Josh Peck, Oscar, baby. He
Was
was
that
great.
2 minutes?
Josh Peck was great. Josh Hartnett was great. Josh Hartnett really surprised me as a character that I think has been really underrated in Hollywood. Dane DeHaan, you're a fraud. Great.
I didn't even know he was in the movie until
you didn't
weeks before.
Oh wow!
Because I guess somebody posted a still, and even like on Twitter, they were like, "He's in this," because I was like, "Where has he been?" You know, he's raising his kid. Presumably, that was the.
Who's the kid? Who's he going out with?
I don't know. Could just be a person, a non-Hollywood person.
Oh, could be a normie. No.
He's not Spider-Man. He doesn't have to date the co-star.
True, he doesn't have those rigid laws. Anyways, Dane DeHaan was great. Alden was great. RDJ, of course, was probably my favorite. But like, also like the asshole guy. What's his name? The guy who kept going at him in the hearing.
Jason Clarke.
Jason Clarke, who was big fan of Jason Clarke. I love Jason Clarke.
I love Dawn of Planet of the Apes.
Me too. Dawn, one of my favorite movies of the decade. Honestly, Dawn and the Apes, so good.
I need to speak to Caesar. Good trip.
Dawn is great. It's easily the best of the trilogy, in my opinion.
I didn't know Gary Oldman would be in this either as Truman.
You're kidding. That was Gary Oldman?
That's Gary Oldman.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
This is on-air realization. No way. You're joking.
Darkest Hour, Winston Churchill performer, Gary Oldman.
Wow. No way. I thought that was Truman. It was really good Truman. I mean, as a history guy, I've seen a lot of Truman videos. That was a good Truman. Very good Truman impression.
I've been to his house in Key West.
Me too. No,
what? No.
No.
God damn it, he got me.
that just slipped down. But holy shit, Gary! Wow, I'm flabbergasted. That was a great Truman.
It was that one scene and it was very impactful.
Very impactful because that was.
I don't like Truman anymore.
Get that crybaby out of the room. Oh,
yeah, fuck, man. Kick a man while he's down, guilt-ridden about Japan.
Exactly.
Which that was another thing. I love the characterization of like I was saying, like them like reasoning like we have to do it, otherwise they're gonna do it. And then as we're getting like closer and closer, people are also questioning like, is this a good idea? And he's trying to reason with everybody that like that beautiful line where he's like, they won't fear it until they understand it, and they won't understand it until they've used it.
They used it. Oh man, that was a great line as well.
And then once we hit the actual section of the bomb, like him go, because we were with him all night, so it's going through like, well, we're here, we might destroy the planet. There's a small percentage that we might.
Oh yeah, I love the actor too. I forget his name, but he was really good. Was that one of the Safdies? That wasn't one of the Safdies, was it?
Yeah, it is.
That was Benny.
Yeah, the Benny Safdie, the dude who put on sunblock for the thing.
Okay, was that him doing an accent, or was that his accent?
His accent.
That's his accent?
Not his, no. He has like an American accent.
Okay. I don't think I've seen a Safdie interview. But okay, yeah. Great.
Yeah, how he talks in Obi-Wan, I guess that's how he talks.
Oh, who is he in Obi-Wan again?
He's the Jedi who's like, Obi-Wan, help. He's like, who?
Oh wow, yes, you're right.
He's the opening Jedi
in episode 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I only saw once in Celebration. I didn't rewatch it when it came out.
Oh, I watched it on the plane, going home.
Nice. What are you, normie?
I was 6 hours away, or 8 hours. It was a long flight.
Was that Celebration? That was LA, right?
Yeah, and I had to fly back to the East Coast. I was coast to coast.
I didn't think I got a movie in those LA flights, which is weird.
Oh, I mean, in that I just downloaded onto my phone.
Oh,
off Disney Plus.
You're a strong fan, aren't you?
Whatever. I downloaded the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan and the Boba Fett doc.
Gross.
Why? It's filmmaking.
Oh, we can see him play the guitar, Robert Rodriguez. Oh.
I don't want that.
Just kidding. Love you, Robert.
Man scores this movie.
Love you, Robert. Where's Spy Kids 4?
He just
anyways, yeah, Safdie, excellent in this movie. But as you're saying, the night with the atomic bomb, one of the best build-up scenes of the year. Like, holy shit.
I adore that we saw multiple test detonations of smaller explosives, because I mean, this has to be maybe the best sound design I've ever experienced in a movie.
Nathan, agreed.
Because they
Give
preface
an Oscar now. Throw it at them.
they
Throw
do
it at them.
because they preface with like these test explosions, like they do like then you get hit with the sound wave because that's real.
How,
And then
how did
they
that
do
work, by the
the-
way? Do you know that? Like, so were they using like normal dynamite or special stuff where the sound was delayed?
I don't know. I mean, it could have been real. It could have been, movie magic. But I know just they're playing off the speed of sound in terms of like the distance and the impact. And again, they did the second one. It's like,
We gotta get farther. We gotta get farther. Yeah.
and then you get to the actual detonation, and we're watching, and it's like maybe like 2-3 minute sequence where you're like marveling at these real explosion that they captured and imposed together into this cacophony of gorgeous cinematography, and I love that 3 separate locations we see the bright flash of the detonation from everybody's point of view, and we just bask in it, and it gets to like that point where like you don't think we're gonna like
hear
anything, and then just people next to me fucking jumped. I felt like I fucking got knocked back.
It was great. Yeah, I was so pulled in, but then it pulled me out in the best way possible. Just like, wow, all that sound was it was excellent. And then, of course, I think the best use of the sound, that scene, and then the horrific applauding scene with the college.
Yeah.
When he walks in, it's just like they're just pounding their feet, chanting. It's like, you will remember this day. And then he just like flashes back.
And he's like still in that moment, so he's like, he says more like hype words. And they cheer more, but it's still silent.
It's so horrific and so frightening. It's like,
because he has to play this role, right?
He's playing this role, but he's also like stressing under that guilt, but also embodying that role of like what he sees on the Times, right? This father of he's the father of the atomic bomb. Like, it's so fascinating. He has to play those 2 different roles.
And also in that same scene where like he looks over to like that one lady, like they're all are covered with the flash of the bomb, but like her skin's like flapping, peeled back.
Oh my god, excellent
from the radiation exposure.
Yeah. Again, the editing was great. Sound was great. Oh my god! Like,
I think there was a shot. He imagined it, but like he stepped in a burnt corpse.
Yes, yeah. He steps in a burnt corpse. I forget when that happens in the movie, but yeah, that's a horrific scene. Yeah, because he wasn't there, but
and more like nobody else would focus on. They'd just be like, "We won the war, yay!" But he's like hearing all these details of like
he's seeing details, right? There's a scene where it's like they do the PowerPoint presentation. We don't get to see it, of course, but we know what.
They were describing more of the events, like people like who like disintegrate instantaneously. The others who had taken refuge died hours later from the exposure.
It's like 100,000 died instantly, but then 100 more thousand died days, weeks, months later.
I feel bad for history, but also the fact that like I didn't really know the death toll of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which it's something you hear about all the time. Growing up learning history, but they never go into like these many lives were lost because we learn American history and they don't care about anybody but themselves.
We had to do it.
We had to do it. We had to win the war, right?
Win the war.
Pearl Harbor, right? The Nazis and
save so many American lives.
It is also wild to like go through this build up to like the whole point is like we have to stop the Nazis and Hitler and all that, and then as they're still developing it, Hitler died.
Hitler died in 45. Like he's compelling. He's grappling with like, do we have to unleash it kind of thing, right? Or it's like we could just talk to the Russians. Like we can't talk to the Russians.
Great lines at the dinner table when they're like, a race against the Nazis, now a race against the Soviets. Not unless we start one. They've already fired the smoking gun because he has data about a spy.
Nathan, that scene. They kept going back to that scene, but RDJ just being like, they already got it. Like they already kept bringing up
copy of Fallout.
I already have my signed copy of Fallout. No, but he's like the way he put it up, like and the music is ramping up. But then they keep referencing that scene where it's like going back deeper and deeper between Oppenheimer versus Strauss. Like it turns into a more compelling nature of it all. It was wild to me. And then like different perspectives during that scene where it's like 10 minutes later you go into Dane DeHaan's perspective. It's like, oh yeah, he was definitely getting this kind of impact from that meeting as well. Or like his best friend Josh Hartnett was also in that meeting. Like RDJ, like so many different people were getting so much from that meeting. And then it kind of spiraled into it all. But one of the best parts about this movie that I did not think Nolan was going to dive into, or I was unknowledgeable about, was the whole communist aspect of it all. Like, right, like the whole communist background, the whole like where hey, you can't have a teachers union. It's very communist of you. It's like what? But it's weird. Sorry, teachers can have rights, guys. Socialist. But then, so it was crazy. Just learning more about his communist background and that being the impetus for the investigation at the end, of course. And I love it. Like, again, we never see the man, Joseph McCarthy. But we get his name talked about a lot, where it's like McCarthy is cracking down a lot of these not subtle, but all these possible communists. And all Oppenheimer is riddled with a communist past. So of course he's going to be getting cracked down on. Like, can we trust this guy or whatever. And then by the end of the movie, it's just like it going along with Einstein's words of like, yeah, they'll give you a medal, yeah, you kind of like you get clapped on years later, but like they're doing that for themselves, not for you. It really hits home. Also, I mean, part of me was very not conflicted, but just also curious about Emily Blunt's perspective in that last act of the movie. It's kind of like what was she kind of fighting for, in a sense? Like at one point she's fighting for Oppenheimer to be like, stick up for yourself, basically, right? Like stick up for yourself.
Yeah.
Don't kind of stick with the man like Benny Safdie's character. Don't shake his hand because he's going to go against you in a way. Why are you shaking his hand? Why are you trying to play the nice guy? These people are trying to ruin you. Mm-hmm. But then also in the movie, she's also doing things that are kind of going against that towards the end, where she's also like, she's supporting him when she's up to bat to do the interview.
Which is great.
Fantastic scene. And that's her Oscar clip as well. But then also she's tearing him down. So like, I need to rewatch this to get her arc, her perspective. What am I supposed to glean from her roles outside of just like, I'll always support you? Because then she wasn't, right? She was going back and forth a lot of things. And then even when the verdict was ruled and they were like, you are a trustworthy American citizen, but we got to revoke your clearance, she was still kind of like ambivalent towards him. So I'm very curious to see what was her arc moving forward. Those are kind of the small things that I was confused about during the movie, like her character, Florence Pugh's character. What did she really want from Oppenheimer? She enjoyed the sex. But like she didn't like at one point she didn't like the flowers, and I took that as like, or throughout the movie she didn't like the flowers, and I took that as she didn't want that emotional connection. But then she was also
I think
guilt-ridden when he left.
Yeah, I think at a point the throwing away of flowers probably evolves into a sign of affection, because it's the usual of the situation, and so like all these like minute details are what make it so appealing to come back to again and again.
Oh, okay, it's like something that she was used to, and I see where you're going with that. So I'm very curious to see what Florence Pugh's what her motives were, because was she just in it for like the connection, the love, or? But then she was also warning about him getting too into like the secrecy and the construction. She had no idea what he was building, but like she was also very much into like him. And I don't know. I was very not off-putted. I was invested in their scenes. It was very interesting. Her scene when she's having sex with him in the conference room. Wow, that was
very uncomfortable.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah, very uncomfortable.
It was very uncomfortable. It was very weird, but it was effective as hell. And it goes into like Oppenheimer's like his wants, his desires, but also how his desires have also gotten him in trouble, because they're like, why did you leave in this very important mission to go to Chicago for one night? like what was so important, which is why I go into like maybe they killed her off because it's like while you were in the middle of this top secret project, you didn't have security clearance and you left and you came back the next day and you put it on paper that you meant her, but you only talked about you went to her to tell her you can't be with her anymore. That's extremely sus, even if I'm a supporter of Oppenheimer, which I'm neither am or not. So it's like it's very interesting. So yeah, certain characters like him, like her, Florence Pugh, Emily Blunt. Trying to think. There's one other character I was kind of like curious about, but yeah, there are certain characters I'm just like, what were their motivations again? Like Josh Hartnett a couple of times. So one time he was with Oppenheimer, sometimes he's not. So I'm like, I think subsequent viewings are going to get me to like narrow in on certain character dynamics. But either way, I got the gist. I got the overall gist, which is why the movie is still like 5 stars, because I got the overall emotional impact. I think this is Nolan's most emotionally impactful movie since Inception for me. Like in Prestige, I love Prestige.
Interstellar, Evan.
I gotta rewatch Interstellar. It
You
never
will
really.
cry.
I liked it. It's funny. Jalen was rewatching Interstellar the other day, and I saw some clips. I'm like, it's a great movie. Just never really affected me much.
Try again.
I'll try again.
I really feel like I will commentary with you if I must.
I think I would like at least. I'll have more fun with you, but I think I need to sit down for that one. It's like 240, right? Whatever. Anyways, I think I need to sit down and watch it because the score rocks. I like some scenes, but I'm never like, oh my god, Murph. I was never moved by Interstellar like most people were. So yeah, overall, I think this was the most emotionally charged. The fact that this was a biopic, courtroom drama, a moral tale, with expert sound, editing, dialogue. Like this movie has it all. Like this is why I love movies. And that final scene is like, oh my god, it's perfect. Like me in ending scenes. This ending scene with Einstein, with RDJ in the distance. Oh, it's perfect. And the zoom in on his face, like. I believe we did. Oh my god, it's heartbreaking. It's emotional. I love this movie. So yeah, I was struggling with one or two, but between this and Spider-Verse. But I think I'll stick with Spider-Verse. It's my number one favorite movie of the year. Having discussed all these movies with you tonight.
There's so many like small things that are so good. But, there's a great little bit where when they're developing the bomb, there's so much science to it, but like after everything's successful, he's even like telling everybody as it's shipping out, like, it won't have as impactful of a blast radius if you drop it too high. Just trying to like, final revisions to make sure everything's running perfect and because he's very prideful of his work, but then also, the guilt is yet to ensue.
Exactly. And that was the beauty of it, because like the movie had to merge the like pride and the science of it all with the guilt at the same time, which I think it just magnificently accomplishes. But yeah, I think the science was also outside of like I had some issues with some of the character motivations, but like the science, as somebody who's not good at science, was very easy to understand, very easy to grasp. I think Nolan did a great job with like him explaining quantum mechanics, quantum physics in a very easy to understand manner.
I love the setup of like he meets that one scientist overseas that eventually the Nazis recruit to help.
Heisenberg, right?
I think it was Heisenberg, yeah. From the book. Anyway,
Walter White, what?
Right? But because of that meeting and understanding how his science goes, just a very small interaction, because it's the only time they met. Knowing that at a certain point when he gets an update from Kenneth Branagh's character,
he's like, yes.
It's like, oh, he made a wrong turn. We're ahead. We got it.
Yes. It was great. Also, I like the scene where he's talking to Matt Damon. He's like, we're ahead of them because Hitler, he's not going to give Heisenberg a lot of the resources because he's a Jew. He underestimates like the science of it all.
It's called Jew science, he said.
Yeah, it's so fascinating to learn that. So yeah, I think. Big time. I think.
But thank God he was. I guess I don't know.
Oh boy,
I don't think we should have these.
It's a different podcast. I I think this movie did a great job of just nailing it from Oppenheimer's perspective. My dad was like, "How come they never talked about like Pearl Harbor and why we got into the war in the first place?" I'm like, I don't think that was necessary. I think it was all about like we didn't need to see Pearl Harbor or Oppenheimer to understand Pearl Harbor. All we needed to see was Matt Damon walking in saying, "I need you for a job. We just got into the war and we gotta get ahead of the Nazis, ahead of the Axis."
I told you we're putting together a team.
We're putting together a team.
I already have
RDJ. I'm gonna need you on board too. No. But yeah, it was great. What else?
Jack Quaid briefly in there.
Jack Quaid was great.
He was great. One of the funnier moments was Benny Safdie. He's like, they're at the bomb test and he's like caking a bunch of sunscreen on his face. And he's like, "Is it rubbed in?" He's like, "Yeah."
Yeah. I like the scene with the guys in the car too, and the guys like, I think I'm safe in here. It's like, but is the car safe? Like the glass can still
roll up those windows.
Yeah, I was like, okay. But yeah, the whole build up to the testing was great. The Trinity testing, the score for Trinity is amazing. The guy who plays Einstein, very good too. Way more in the movie than I thought it was going to be. Like I thought it would be a cameo, but repeatedly throughout the movie.
I love one of their earlier scenes. Not calling back to the final scene that we see first, but like in between getting some, I think it's the first time in the chronology that they're talking, and he shows them some paperwork. He's like, who worked on this? And they're discussing, and then Oppenheimer's about to leave, and he's like, take this, isn't mine, this is yours, take it. He wants no part of this.
Yeah, that was great. I loved a lot of this movie. Like we said, the score ties everything together in such a magical way. Like you're invested in the small things, the big things. His personal life with Emily Blunt, his personal life with other scientists. You get really dive into his headspace, his mind space, in ways I just did not expect. The way that Nolan molded like science explosions with like the eventual explosion of the bomb and like the morality of it all. Like you said, the scene with the girls like face like tearing apart. It's hard to watch.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, this movie is just it blew me away. For lack of a better term. It was astonishing. I loved it. Yeah. Trying to think. There's probably other things I'm forgetting, but we'll be talking about this movie for years to come. This is one of the best biopics I've ever seen. Just like, because the way I love how it melded multiple genres and multiple perspectives in such a great way. Like I knew Nolan wasn't going to tell a typical biopic, but the way he messed with time was just more effective than what he did with, like, for example, with Dunkirk. Because that also did a time thing. But like the way the black and white going back and forth numerous times, but made it all very understandable in terms of like what is contextually going on from scene to scene. I had a blast. It's my number 2 of the year. I loved it.
It's my number 6.
Number 6?
Yeah.
Well, you're wrong.
No, okay. I'm not, because the other ones got more heart.
Great. I know, but I was surprised by how emotionally affected I was by Oppenheimer. Where I was just like, man, this is one of my movies. Like, I don't think it's getting a rival territory, but it's just when I see it again, I'm probably gonna love it even more. But yeah, quick update, top of the year, top of the hour. I mean,
top of the morning.
Top of the morning to you. I have Spider-Verse, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Suzume, Mission Impossible at 5, Barbie at 6.
Okay.
And then 7 is this movie called Rylane, which I love, and then 8, Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, love this movie. Love 2023 so far.
There you go. Well, what's that? Secret Invasion. I need to watch it. I need to get into that so we can do our review.
To be honest, what was the last episode of Secret Invasion you watched, motherfucker?
1.
Oh no! Woo!
I'm so far behind. I think I might have gotten spoiled by something.
Honestly, there's nothing to be spoiled about.
Nobody I'm sure it's probably fake out. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. But
there's been, I'm no spoilers. Anyways,
leave it at that.
It's fine. It's solid. I think I feel the same way about, maybe I like it more than Falcon Winter Soldier. I think the acting's better than Falcon Winter Soldier.
I'm one of the biggest defenders of that show. God damn it.
Oh, I think it's a solid drama, not the most well paced, but it's very well acted. I think
Samuel.
What's it called? Samuel L. Jackson is phenomenal in the role. Kingsley Ben-Adir is surprisingly great. I wish Emilia Clarke had more to do, but she's great as well. She's always great. Also, fucking Krennic, what's his name? Ben Mendelsohn's amazing in the show. And yeah, I already said Olivia Colman. You saw The Bear, right? Bear season 2?
Yes.
Yeah, that episode 7 with Olivia Colman. Woo! Great stuff, baby.
It's really good.
Great stuff. And I think she's continuing to be really great here. It's just very campy and cool. But overall, yeah, we'll talk about Secret Invasion later this week, Nathan. Is the finale this week?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. That was fast.
How to figure that pencil in.
You have to watch some TV, motherfucker.
I know. But I gotta go to work and then watch my nephews. Sweet.
Your nephews can watch Secret Invasion, motherfucker.
No, that's
boring.
me and my camera.
No.
Whenever I edit it.
Are you still? No way. You're lying. I don't believe you.
I'll never stop.
I don't believe that you're reacting to this stuff. I
also have to recover my previous storage from my past computer. All our commentaries are on there. Oh, I have to download them secondhand off of my channel.
At least we're on YouTube.
At least, yeah, nothing's blocked.
Yeah.
Nothing's blocked. We're good.
But yeah, this was a fun podcast. 2:35. We didn't get to the 3 hours from the Spider-Verse June episode.
Right.
But yeah, this was good. Now we gotta hurry up before it's past your bedtime, buddy.
Do I go into late to work? Just say screw it.
Can you call off?
I did already.
Oh well.
On Saturday.
Nice.
But,
good for you. Good. Nigga,
good,
Nathan. Good.
Good for you. I don't ever want to see it again. Evan, where can they find you?
Find me on Twitter, not on Threads. It is Twitter, by the way. Stop.
Yeah. Extra mark this spot.
Not at all, boy. Find me on Twitter at HarrisEV9, watching all things anime, movies, TV. Never too early to get into the best Oscar conversation. You know, I'm a huge Oscars guy, and 2024 Oscars are looking very much like we could be getting a Oppenheimer versus Killers of the Flower Moon, which if that happens, if both movies are great, that's going to be super fun. So, you know, all through award season, anime, movies, TV. I've been watching Star Trek. I'm watching Secret Invasion every week. Yeah, I'm having a blast with video games. Final Fantasy 16, still very fun. Yeah, I'm doing it all, baby. I'm doing it all. Comics, movies, manga. You can't stop me. Let's go. Drinking lemonade all day, every day.
Oh my God. It's everything that makes Evan. You find me at _TimeBlazer, making a show called Time Blazer with co-star and creative consultant Evan Harris.
Ben!
It is. It's been a minute. We plugged. What am I plugging? Nothing right now. Fucking. We're back on track though. This is a computer I'm using now. But yeah,
is your process for Time Blazer smoother on this computer?
I haven't tried yet. I just got the computer yesterday. That's the thing. Yesterday evening. So hopefully it'll go good. I just installed my editing software and it seems to be running okay. I did like a test run and then immediately it was like not responding and I was like, cool. That's the thing I'm not used to. But it should be interesting. Please follow _TimeBlazer on Twitter so that you can see exclusive reveals and also here on the channel. It's a animated series that's really cool and I'm very much looking forward to it, and I was inspired by one of RDJ's monologues in this movie to compel for one of the monologues I have in episode 1, so if you're intrigued.
Whoa, really? Wait, yeah. Like you're rewriting dialogue?
That scene specifically, that scene was always kind of iffy with its delivery for me and I wanted to get it right.
So the yelling scene for RDJ?
Yeah.
The monologue? So good. I need to get certain movies this year. I'm just like, I need the Blu-ray fastly to replay certain scenes. When Spider-Verse coming out? That's gonna be an instant.
That's coming out August 8th, right?
August, right, for digital. They need to change this up, studios. Digital and Blu-ray on the same fucking day. Same fucking day. Stop it. Anyways, apparently there was a deleted scene with the Gwen and Miles date or something. Extra footage.
Date?
I don't know.
Is it animated? Did they finish it?
I don't know.
I'll make an extended edition. Don't
play with me.
Don't give me hope. All right. So yeah, that being said, if you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you like button, subscribe, and already ring the bell so you don't miss future installments. And that being said, I hope you have a great day. We'll catch you guys next time.
Mission accomplished.